Yeah, I did forget. I did do that one. Sup, everybody? This is Carrick with ACG, and I'm here with Johnny for the best gaming podcast, number 577. Unfortunately, Silver was not able to make it today. He sends his best. He says send love to everybody. So I don't really feel like borrowing love. I feel like that's a responsibility when somebody tells you to send love. Like, what do you?
Ooh, because now you have to do something actively.
What form? Like a hip hug?
Yeah.
Like get your hips in deep. A hip hug, maybe a lip lock. It could be. I mean, you don't know what kind of love it is, right? You know, is it family love, and is it Kentucky family love, which could be the same as normal married couples?
My go-to is the one, where you do like a kind of a hand shake, and then you do a shoulder.
You know what I've always been
hand grab into shoulder bump.
Yeah, that's the generic. It crosses all divides and all lines. That greeting, right? That one does cross all lines.
Yeah, universal.
That. Yeah, that's pretty universal. But what I have noticed is the uncomfortableness that a lot of people get doing some of those. Like, you'll get that person who tries to shake hands, and then you've got the other guy who's like, slap, happy, elbow dump, double fist, pump, back, do a backflip.
Missed it.
Yeah, and you're sitting there going, first of all, how do two people know what, like, each one of them's going for? Slap, boom, bang, fuck you, fucking boom. And you're just like, dude, I have no clue what's happening right now. So, and then the best one ever, I don't know if it's because of martial arts, first time, almost every time tries to fist bump me, I grab the hand. Every time.
Oh.
So they'll put it out, I'll be like, because my brain is like, that's a punch. And so I've got video of my friends. We hadn't seen each other in a long time. 3 of them are like, and I'm just like, whack, whack, whack. I could not.
Well, that's better than leaving them hanging. You know how some people, you will go for the fist bump and they just like leave you hanging?
Yeah, if somebody leaves you hanging on a fist bump, that's a criminal. Yeah. I think the fist bump
unless
is generically the easiest, the fist bump.
Yeah, I'll accept it as a joke like once, but you dropped me twice in a row on the fist bump, and I think we're done.
Yeah, that person's out. That person's an outcast. They're a pariah in the family. Anyway, hello, everybody. Thank you for joining up. I was asking in the chat if people are doing marathon, trying to raise those numbers up. It'd be nice. They got a tough future, man. Those numbers are fucking damn. The review scores weren't so bad, but they're not reviews because nobody got time. And then there were people saying,
it's all in progress.
Yeah, they were like demanding that you hold off. They didn't demand, but what they did do is say that the actual content or the content that they're really excited for you to see and want to see doesn't come till March. But they're asking for money today. So I don't know why you would even say that. I've seen it occasionally in embargoes where they'll say, hey, here's code. I think it's fine to do impressions, but that's why, if people are wondering, I don't even know if Metacritic's got a score. OpenCritic had 1 review, but it was only like a 7. So I don't know, what they were reviewing or how long they were playing it.
A lot have been quite positive. Just the ones I've seen.
The only ones I've seen that were positive were on Steam. I noticed everybody else was negative. So I don't quite know what that means. If maybe the only people
I saw on YouTube, like a number of people were pretty happy with it, but there were a lot of caveats when it comes to like actually recommending the game.
Yeah, but I mean, how would they review it if nobody has it?
No, but that's the thing. It's not reliable because it was mostly based on the server slam.
That's what I thought too. Yeah.
And some said, hey, I got 30 hours in, but still, it's not the full version
it appears
yet.
Like this version isn't the full version yet. So,
I think that's
less than Highguard was at its its numbers.
Really?
Yeah. It was
oh wow.
I think Highguard was 92. This hit 92 as well, but still not. You would assume, looking at Bungie's just looking at this as a smaller title, but still a Bungie title after many years. I think internally we'll never know, but the assumption would be, if you look at other titles, because I looked at other titles and asked around, like, what would your expectations be? Here's our nominal success. Nominal success was about 350 to 450 concurrent day one, and they were at 90. if you let's ramp that down and say half of that, so 200 or 150, they're at 90. The weekend will help, but it's really just, I mean, there's no way around it. It's been tough, and it was a tough launch. Like if those numbers had been stellar, I think we could have all been like, okay, because it never even came close to the summer or the slam numbers.
Yeah.
Now,
high guard
free demo.
High guard numbers is not what you want to see, especially as we'll talk about. Those guys are closing out the game right in a few days. So
high guard.
I'm sure we'll talk about that.
Very sad. I don't want Bungie to go away either, but I really they've got to clarify. You know, we'll probably talk about that today. There's a lot of clarification a lot of companies need. Whether it be Sony, when's your new console coming out? What exactly are you doing? Are you really removing all your PC game, single player PC game moving forward? I think we now know that the leaks were that only some games would be removed. The leaks were then that all games were removed. Now we know that service games will, of course, come across all, which is the majority of their games they're doing. They only canceled like 4 of the 13. And then their single player stuff wasn't selling well. So I got the numbers for that, by the way. Really bad. I was under the assumption, not because I really, cared, but I was just under the assumption because their single player games are so good that they were selling really well on PC. That was just my opinion. I wasn't going back. You and I don't really have a tendency to go back and look at sales after a year, a month. But they all dropped double digits as the games went on. Yotai was only 11%, or not Yotai. It was a different one. It was only at 11% of sales corresponded to PC. The big issue that was pointed out was the closer to the PC release, the better they usually were doing, which I think we can all understand. Day and date is just better than any kind of delay. Xbox will have the same thing if they release a game on Xbox, wait a year, because some of your purchasers are exhausted, not in tiredness, but they're exhausted as in their money's gone, then they've got the game.
The good thing though is I think it was sitting at very positive on Steam, which that's
what was
way better than High Guard. Marathon, just going back to the Marathon thing,
but it's not sales.
So like the reception, it's not how the game is actually doing, but at least like the reception looks to be decent overall.
Well, it looks to be decent there, but I'm saying that like the couple reviews I saw were 6s and 7s. Do we think that that's decent for a Bungie title?
Yeah, no, I guess not for what they wanted, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know what you think about this. I've heard the argument that Bungie has done really well with not day one success, but like coming back for round 2 with more content and like making it better and bringing people back in, getting people excited in the second round. Do you think there's some validity to that? Like this is maybe just a warm up for them, and they got the ability to raise interest with later content.
We've seen a couple games come back, but those usually have more of a full game versus this sort of tight whatever they've done with Marathon. I don't know. I just don't know if Sony has the patience. Sony has shown that they don't have patience. How about that? Sony has shown that they don't have patience anymore with Bungie. They gave them a couple years. They don't have any patience. What I'm worried about is Sony continues to pull them to their own staff, especially if now they're doing single player on PC. So this all sort of wraps up, and they need more people. Single player on console, and they need more people to help them.
Maybe they just got this operation, and bring them in,
and that would, that's not. I wanted I wanted Destiny 3, and I think that if it feels like they don't exactly know where to go with some of this stuff. I mean, and a stopgap for a game like this with this much money spent and delayed many times and all of the other issues, it's rough. I mean, I don't think you can look at those numbers. I would be surprised if anybody could look at those numbers and find anything positive about a sub 100K for a Bungie game. That I mean, dude, like that's ridiculously low when you compare it. I mean, I don't want to compare it to Slay the Spire, but other people have. And Slay the Spire is at like 300,000 people playing it right now. Now,
crazy.
If you look at a Bungie title, in the old days, a Bungie could pull, right? A Bungie's the guy who walks into the bar and pulls instantly and doesn't need to stay till 2 a.m. when everybody can't see. Like they're, they have their choice of players. In fact, that's sort of how Bungie games felt for a while, is that they had their choice of players that they could show a game that those players would appreciate and they would all come in. And now it's not that way. Now it's them chasing. And that chase seems like...
the dynamic is very different now.
Yeah. But anyway, when you're wrapping all this together, Marathon, I don't ever want a game to fail. So if they continue, that's fine. If they don't, I also don't want them to be snipped and shuttered and the developers to all be separated unless they have such a problem with management and stuff that it just isn't feasible to keep them all together, which is, it's possible. I want to see a Destiny 3. I think most people do. They're really good at that kind of stuff. And it is interesting when you look at Destiny's graphics choices. And I don't know if I've ever heard, and this is honest, ever, not like sometimes or rarely, but I don't think I've ever heard anybody say, boy, Destiny's art style and guns look like shit. It's almost universally been considered one of their top tier parts is their fiction and the overlapping in the guns and their ability to design things.
One of the concessions, even the people who dislike
it,
would give.
Yeah. And so to do a game like this that's so almost arbitrarily odd looking, and then at the same time have the art issues and
where are you with the art style? Are you
I do not
at all captivated or no?
No, I think they're onto something. I think that, but I think that it didn't hit. Whatever they were trying to do, I'm that kind of fan. I love that kind of look, but it missed. Whatever's missing, and it would take an artist who probably has worked on movies like Tron or worked on a lot of, maybe videos for techno or EDM music where that's their style is that.
Yep.
To have them look and go, here's what's probably, here's what I would do with this art. Maybe take a screen and sort of draw over and be like, maybe this would be more eye-catching to the person who's playing it. Because it almost arbitrarily looks old when it's not trying to look old. It's trying to look future old, which there's a huge difference between looking old and just looking old. And, But regardless, those are the numbers right now. Pretty low. We'll just have to, we'll have to see. There's been so many issues with they should have given people free access, or not people, reviewers access to the
early. So they can review it properly.
Because, dude, they're literally going to be popping reviews right around the time that Crimson Desert comes out or Death Stranding 2 comes out.
Yeah.
And there's only so much a person can cover when it comes to how much, time they have to write a review, record a review, edit a review.
Yeah.
It is what it is, man. It's I guess it goes to show we are in like a rough time period where there's so much competition that, coming out of early access roguelike like Slay the Spire can beat you if you're Bungie.
To be fair, that's like one of the top roguelite games ever when it comes to fan base.
AAA creators ever.
Yeah, true. But that shows you how much they've been knocked down off the rung. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I think I like the improvements.
$40.
Yes,
even at a lower price, they're having this issue.
I do think it looks a lot better than what I saw earlier.
In the old days?
Like there's a bit more, there's a bit more grime to like the textures and stuff, a little bit more Blade Runner instead of like full-on plastic-looking Lego stuff. I do like the look overall. I'm a little disappointed, though, by the lack of like not necessarily a story, but the fact that it isn't really built into the maps. So it looks like you get those in tidbits after a mission. So you kind of go out on a run, right? And then you come out, you get some items, you get maybe a bit of exposition or a bit of like dialogue. And that's where the fancy voice acting is. And I would have loved to have something different where during the mission, there are things with voice acting that happen. Because I do find that missing in something like Arc Raiders. That could be a cool addition, you know, like a little spin to what's being done.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Arc Raiders was almost 400,000 as well. Like, I think that's a good. I think that Arc Raiders had the finals was just really good despite all of its issues. It wasn't really good, but it was good. People returned to it a lot. They had a fandom that liked some of their stuff, and then Arc Raiders had really good graphics, really good sound, but it did some stuff that was cool with giant monsters to fight. There was a sense of grandeur to that, and there's no sense with that with Marathon. And that's why I think it feels less to a lot of people. Like, and $40 is a good price for less, but I think now we're looking at maybe was $20 a better price for less. And would you have still, you know, are there that many people honestly interested in a bare bones game like this? Because it is fairly bare bones. When you look at like the experience and what you can do, it is definitely old style versus new style. It's got that that slimmed down. There's only a couple things you can do in this, but we'll have to see overall, man. It's out though. We're post marathon, which is nice.
Post marathon.
Yep. And then I also got to review Planet of Lana 2. If people didn't check out that review, feel free to do so. That game is just fucking great. Like, there was a couple little issues here and there, but that game, Planet of Lana 2, is like, if you like indies, if you like platformers, puzzle stuff, fuck, man. You could do way
their
worse.
World building is really just wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, dude, you do stuff like flying around, or not flying around, but swimming around, taking over control of other creatures. And it's that fake voice, that weird fake language that they have that's got this like silky, but almost, I'm trying to think of how glottal it is. It's not Native American. It's got this tribal sound to it that really works, man. And then you figure out the words. You figure out what, like when you hear him say stop 5 or 6 times, you start to realize, oh, okay, that means stop. You know, you start
it's recognizable.
It's recognizable. Yeah. And after a while, you start to pick up little words and you're like, okay, that's a warning, you know, not just by tone, but by actual wording and all that kind of stuff.
That would be funny to see like the voice actor, like, what the hell am I supposed to say?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Wenja was the same way, which is from a Far Cry Primal. They had over 10,000 words, I think they made for the language Wenja for Far Cry Primal. Be weird to be told, you know, how to say stuff at that time. Wenja.
Yeah.
That's the way it sounded, by the way. That wasn't me, you know, stereotyping a fake language in a fake game before somebody gets mad. That's actually what it sounded like. It was a weird one. Let's see. Moving on from the old marathon. Talked about, Planet of Lana 2. Great game. You should go check it out. Can't really tell you much about it because it's all puzzles and in another fucking language. So,
is it on Game Pass, that one? Or no?
First one was. Okay. First one, I believe. Because wasn't there Somerville too? Somerville? S-O-M.
Yep. Yeah, both of those.
Both of those. I feel like they were even in a close proximity to one another, if I remember right. Could be wrong on that, but great game. What else do we got for news this week? We were talking about that.
You mentioned Slay the Spire, right?
Yeah.
So one thing that I am deeply annoyed about is that it's in early access.
Mm-hmm.
Because I kept hearing like, oh, Slay the Spire 2 is coming out, and I was very excited. As I've told you, it's like one of my favorite roguelite games ever, the first one. And then I heard, oh, it's early access. And the whole thing deflated. Because now you have this prospect of spending maybe years until the actual full version comes out.
I'm going to be honest. I think I thought this was the full version, and it had already been out in early access because I don't follow it. Damn.
No, it's just starting now. Yeah.
Wowza. That's a popular game right there. What's up, Robert, Sean, Flynn, Ghost, Mojo, Train Every Day and Love Dogs, David, Lucitan, Kig, Romulus, Kig, Ghost Witch, Sly Crow. Ooh, I like that spelling on that too. Let's see. King Tissy, Raspberry. Is that short for raspberry? Another Sean, JR. Just going down trying. If I miss your name, I apologize. Maskinaroth. Another Sean. Got a lot of Seans. Joseph.
Sean!
Joe. Debate Nate TV. Every time I see that name, it confuses me for
you got
just
it
a
now.
brief second. Yeah, I did. I feel we can shut. Thanks for everybody for coming to the podcast. We're done. I got that name right. Special Net. KK Blaze, what's up, bud? Hope you're doing well. For smoking.
A good one.
For smoking. I like it. And also a huge thanks. We got this earlier, but E Pluribus Gunum gave us $100 super chat. I appreciate that. It's before we started, but it was nice of him. He's like, I won't be there. Also, thanks for super chats in the reviews. It's hard. It's funny because I don't go watching the comments very much. And one day I went back and I saw people were dropping super chats in the comments. And I was like, I'm not informed.
In the review?
Yeah. So if you do a review, you can be like, here's $1 for doing a review or whatever.
The thanks.
Super thanks. Yeah. And dude, it doesn't pop up on anything. So, it's just one of those things where I guess I just wasn't tracking.
Thanks, YouTube. Yeah.
Dude, thanks, YouTube, for supporting your creators, man. Okay, speaking of this, I got to tell you one thing that's fantastic. They've now added Gemini to your metrics page. That has been a goddamn goldmine. You can hit it. It must be able to see your API, and there's way more data. And for the first time in a couple years, I was able to go, that's why this video did well. That's why, because a lot of their metrics are so obscure, but AI will take advantage of the world and infer it. Yeah. And it was the first time I spent like an hour looking at a couple videos going, wow.
That's insanely cool.
If I had this data before, just little things too. I mean, it was even talking about drop off. It was like why this video dropped off here, why this video dropped off here. And then I've gone and looked at what you were talking about. And it could be because, and you're just like, that's what I need, man. I love that. Is
that open to everyone or
sure,
like?
Yeah, I think it's just them merge. I mean, it's Google, Gemini's Google. So I think they're just merging it in. Yeah. You used to be able, or you can do it outside on any video, but being able to do it on your own is great. That's like a huge positive to be able to do it on your own metrics because they were tough, man. Metrics are tough to figure out. What else happened this week that was big? Let's talk about Xbox.
What happened with Xbox?
Exactly. Nothing. But let's point out that they did announce their code word for the new system, which is Helix. It's in the shape of a Helix figure 8 / Xbox X sign. And basically just said, it's going to be ultra powerful. It's going to come out and it's going to be able to play both. I think Sony and Microsoft are basically doing the whole tit for tat on the announcements. It didn't strike me as that suspicious, and I assumed that the reason why Sony has sort of the leaks have really become a big thing about the first party stuff, and we're gonna concentrate on console is because they, or people knew that Xbox was also gonna announce some stuff. Don't know if that's true or not, but it was weird that one day after, Microsoft does an announcement about their console, so there's definitely probably some one-upsmanship going on there. But
coincidence.
Yeah, and who knows about the price? Steam machines having the same issue with price. Don't know the price. There was a hint it was going to be 2027. I think we have a question in Discord, so we won't dive into it until we read that question. But long story short of it, dude, it makes sense. Figure 8 Helix still being the Xbox merge, which is basically infinity when you think about it. Merges PC Xbox into one thing, lets you sort of do everything in one. We'll have to see. I think my biggest problem with all these consoles, especially this week playing Resident Evil, is that I think the OSs are trash. So they've got to fix their OSs. PlayStation's is a nightmare with 2 fucking bars, a high one, a low one, depending on what you like. Just Xbox is bad.
And somehow I'm always on the wrong one. By the way,
can't do a. So am I. So am I. Just turning that thing off sometimes. So I think that they really need all these consoles. I would love to see them for PlayStation, Microsoft, Nintendo. A little less so. Nintendo's at least you can parse somewhat. They really need to figure out. They need to get somebody who's just really good at saying the front end should be instantly accessible to the dumbest of consumer. Dumbest not being bad, just dumb. They could be dumb because they don't use OSs. They could be dumb because they're truly dumb. That OS has got to look not frightening. And if they
clean, intuitive,
and dude, do you know what I would have? No, I wouldn't have this, but I'm talking literally like 3 tiles at most that is like games you own, store, settings. That's it.
Yep.
Instead of this giant Amazon style of thing where you've got 16 streams coming in, all that kind of weird shit. And then as you dive in, it gets deeper. Don't add that. Dude, Xbox has like fucking, they've got like cross menus where like a menu goes over the other. And you're just like, what? Who's fucking making this? And then
what
you go
are we
to
doing,
Sony's.
guys?
They've got some stuff here, some stuff here, some stuff up here over. You're just like, and then you'll go into sound and video, and the video thing will be in another place. It won't be in the video.
Or like
video
2
section.
video menus.
2 video menus, which we see in a lot of games now. Display, graphics. You see that, and I got to admit, I hate that because a lot of times when I'm changing the display or changing the graphics, I usually want to be able to see what's going on in the background and change the display at the same time, whether it be borderless full screen, whether it be the resolution, whether it be moving it to a different monitor. I like it when they're all there.
Sense.
In the same one.
It's all visual anyway.
It is.
Yeah.
Sort of.
And then like, where do I even find my downloads in PS5? It turns out there isn't a downloads menu. You have to go to like your notifications or whatever. It's just not intuitive, man.
Really? I don't ever look at downloads.
Yeah, it's something like that. Unless I missed something for years.
Think that's bad. The Microsoft one, you go in there and they fucking are like, hey, here's your video settings, but they have a bunch of PC settings in there, probably because they know some people use monitors and stuff, which is like limited and full color. And I'm like, dude, you got it. Let's, we should like step back a little bit and realize that those should be way deeper in, they shouldn't be so instantly accessible. And then it'll do this big box in the Xbox One. It'll show you like X's, like your TV can't do this, can't do this, can't do this, can't do this. But many of the warnings do not correspond to any option word for word. So it'll get, and we've seen that, where they'll be like, your up close attack, and then somewhere else it'll say melee or melee, depending on your pronunciation. And then another place will say sword. And you're like, so sword is an up close attack. And it's also this, and it's also this, and it's also this. And those are game stuff. Why technically do you look at this OS and go, their technical words should be identical across the board? If they're talking about limited and full, they need to explain what fucking limited and full mean. They need to explain that if you switch it might make your game look like shit. Also, they have you switch it on a fucking black screen. That is not going to work. You need to have a game screen up that's like, here is what limited is going to look like on your PC or on your Xbox or PlayStation. Here's what full's going to look like. Yeah, none of that. They need to fix that shit, man. We need to jump in.
Yeah, I think like it needs to be way more intuitive, just your landing page on those OSs.
I agree. I think the landing page needs to be leaned up, something fierce,
like the way when you look at someone's shelf, very often you have like the good shit top right, and then like the stuff they don't care about bottom left or whatever. That type of like more intuitive thing where what the top of mind stuff is very very easy to find, very obvious.
Yeah, so we'll have to see how that goes. As long as it's not something like fucking Steam Big Picture Mode or some bullshit like that.
Yeah,
like I know I fucking hate
that. I hate those OSs. Universal, by the way?
What?
Top right, does that check out with you? in your shelf is like the good shit.
Maybe
top
you
right?
sensed a puzzlement on me. I thought you were going to say more along the lines of the nice stuff is usually in, or it's like it's shelved correctly, is what I've noticed.
Okay,
So
yeah, like framed maybe.
Yeah, and then the stuff that you don't care about might be laying on the shelf
on the
horizontally
edges.
on the edges. Yeah, but that's really what you said. Sort of makes sense because weirdly enough, top left for English speakers would make sense because usually you read left to right, so you would think top left would be it. But I sort of agree that if I'm mentally looking at my shelves and I'm thinking top right,
like your
is
right
where
hand.
some of my stuff is. Could be your right hand. Yeah. So for looks versus
some psychology
utility, they're probably different. And then I don't put the nice stuff on the top. I put it in the middle because I can reach it easier and my wife can reach it. So like if I like shows or whatever, they're all in the middle so that the line of sight is here. And then like up or down can be
you
good.
go to the edges and it becomes less.
Yep. It becomes
I guess that makes sense for the OS too, right? You want like, give me one or two big boxes in the center. That's like the big shit I'm going to be doing. And then as we go to the edges, you get to the more like obscure menus.
Yeah, because dude, when you look at these, I don't care what anybody says. Both the OSs look like they're mouse driven. The way they're set up, a lot of the choices on the Xbox literally are that type of clickable down arrow box that's in Windows, where you click it and it shows you the options at that point. It doesn't have that slickness, and Sony's is just as bad. It makes sense. Windows is huge, so you're like, okay, we'll make it like it's not the way it works, man. If your main thing is a controller, you got to make sure that it all makes sense on a controller. But you and I, we don't know what the fuck we're talking about. They could have science that's like, you're so fucking wrong that wrong doesn't even, But I think that'd be weird to prove because like Xbox's store doesn't even find half the games that Xbox owns. So it's like at the very least fix your fucking search, right? If you want to use AI,
quite
for
literally,
anything, use
the
AI
search fails at times.
Yeah,
you're
like
searching
Steam.
for a game.
I don't know what's going on. It's Gmail. Gmail's the same way. They even tell you straight up. You can go and look at some of the back end stuff, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, just so you guys know, search isn't going to find everything. It doesn't search in the way you assume." And I'm just like, it's an email system. I mean, dude, yesterday I was looking for some emails on a game. Perfect game name, spelled it right. And I had like emails from Amazon show up in my search, and without those words, or with half of the word.
Yeah, without the words, drives me crazy.
As the highest connector email, and you're like, dude, you couldn't be fucking more wrong. Yeah. So yeah, we'll have to see, man. But so Xbox, they announced their new stuff. Got a pretty cool icon. I like the icon. That's the most I can say right now. Is I like the icon. I mean, the rest of it.
That's all we got.
That's all we got.
And usually those end up not being the name, right? When they have like Project Scarlet, it just changes.
Yep. Yeah, there's been all kinds. Black Belt for the Dreamcast. Yeah, there's been all kinds of these. And I mean, I don't know. I think Microsoft is going for the series style, which is your Lenovo's, your PC stuff. Almost everything on PC is series. This is our Series X. This is our Series 4. This is the 4090 series, or 40 series. This 30 series is, it's sort of a thing. I actually like Helix though. So, but somebody's probably got it copyrighted, right? I mean, maybe
do you think they're going to move away from the boxy format, like the clean look?
No. Sony's one of the most intelligent console makers in the world. Their designs internally may not be the greatest, but remember, their console is set up on purpose, so you can't put anything on top of it. That's one of the most ingenious designs ever. If you make a round top,
that is
for
both
your console,
genius, but like annoying as hell.
It's annoying, but you can't. You literally, it just doesn't. It's concave and it's made of a material. And PlayStation 3 was the same way. It was like very smart, to do it that way. So Microsoft will probably just make a box, and I think a box works. I sort of like the Xbox Series X because of the way it's designed. It's fairly easy, rectangle, face it up, face it sideways, whatever. I think they'll go square. I mean, dude, they're still trying to fit on a shelf, still trying to do the shelf kind of thing, right? I mean, for the most part. But
Yeah.
PlayStation's OS gets worse every gen. XMB was great. PS4 was worse, but still decent. PS5 is like a bad PS4 OS. Okay. That's a lot. But Kupo says alphabetical for me, but if I was to do most used, it'd be top to bottom. Top to bottom. Interesting. Yeah. I can see that. I can see anybody's way of doing it, really. It's your house. Like, I mean, I'm sure somebody will be in there with like feng shui shit. Be like, feng shui. Yeah, you need to do it this way. I'm not saying that.
What if they do it like that, like half white, half black, straight down the middle?
I would hate him. Raise Burr,
Terrible idea.
$4.99 super chat. He says, did you guys get a chance to check out Eugenics? Have you got a chance to check out Eugenics yet? And?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very good. I did burn out a little bit, but I have like 25 hours in it. I played a bunch.
And you like it overall?
Yeah, it's really good.
Why
really
do you think you burned out?
Turn-based. I think I also had like some unlucky runs, so you end up spending like an hour in a run, and then you die in the end. It's very frustrating. So I haven't had the motivation to like go back in
to go
another
forth
go at
and
it.
do more. What's the
because I lost some really good cats in that run.
How much time?
The time?
Yeah.
25, about 25 hours.
Not bad. 25 hours. There you go. So yeah. So we have 25 hours. I'm gonna have a Whopper. Do you like Whoppers? You ever had Whoppers?
Oh, I thought it was the burger Whopper.
No, I can tell
I don't
my
know
blood
that
sugar's
actually.
right on the edge of
Chocolate?
crashing. So yeah. Sorry.
Never apologize for having snacks, man.
I do because it's gross.
House rules.
I don't want to see anybody masticate on this podcast, but
unless you're Brad Pitt, he's
Brad Pitt,
he's the best masticator.
Brad Pitt can eat no matter what, right? In anything he's doing. Name it Valid X, $10 super chat. Happy Friday, guys. It was a great time the other night in voice chat on the Discord with you guys. Always a pleasure. Yeah, dude. Chat's been cooking. Man.
Cooking.
It's cooking. We aren't cooked. We're cooking. I fucking hate that. No, it has been absolutely awesome. We've been having a great time in there, doing all kinds of weird games, having all kinds of incredibly demure, soft, polite conversations. Just
wow,
great.
Polite,
yeah.
even.
Dude, polite, fun, positive.
Is that Buke from the voice chat?
No, invalid. No.
Okay.
Book
getting
is,
my names mixed.
Book, you would know because Book would probably bring up a police action of some kind because he's an ex-policeman. He'd probably be like, "Here's my $10 so you can buy some handcuffs for your wife." No, I have no clue what he would say. He's so fun though.
Yeah,
I like that guy a lot. Yeah, we've been having a good time. It's been hopping. There's always a different game too. We had Resident Evil and then like Division because of Division's huge changes with the realistic.
There's always
mode.
someone playing Division, man.
There's always somebody.
You've indoctrinated the group there.
I have, and I think that's fair. I think that I should indoctrinate the group. I mean, that's what I'm supposed to do, right? Push games that are good and that people will enjoy
you're
playing.
An influencer.
I'm an influencer, dude. But
yeah.
with absolutely no sponsorship. The world's best influencer. Let me get that formulated. All right. Thank you very much, sir. Just watched Snatch. Loved him in that. ACG, why don't more people use Xbox IFG looking for group for more social interactions? You know, I just don't think people trust social interactions, randoms in chats anymore. I think anonymity and all the discussion about all kinds of crazy stuff happening, being called names, I think for the most part, people have gone the way of a Discord that they know or a friend group. And those random chats, they can be, I hear they can be rough. So I think a lot of people just don't want to do that kind of thing.
Yeah. It's funny. I always thought LFG stood for let's fucking go. But actually, it's just looking for a group. It's way less exciting.
Well, okay. So interesting enough, it is both. It is both. Yeah, you're right. No, let's fucking go at the starting of like a multiplayer match, or when you're putting together a match. That for
it is
sure
a thing, right? Yeah. Okay.
Go. Yeah. Definitely can be both. But looking for group is like, I mean, a lot of people don't even like to use the looking for group stuff because it just
those can work pretty well in specific discords. For example, the Space Marine 2 Discord is very much alive. It's full of people in there, and you can jump in and like very easily look for a group. It's pretty nice.
Well, I think what happens is people have a tendency to go to those discords for those games, then looking for group. They know somebody's filtered in through that. It's different than a Gennaro. Sean, $5 super chat. It's Idiot Doom Spiral here. Speak for yourself. I love to see a nice live mastication. Have a great weekend, gentlemen. It's nice to hear you and be able to talk to you a little bit more and stuff like that. It's been awesome. I miss when you're not around. You're one of the few. I don't even miss Johnny when he's not around. Like Johnny leaves and I'm like,
okay.
Johnny,
all right.
I'll be like, Johnny was around. Like, I didn't even, I'm
whatever.
just joking. Whatever. No, I'm just joking. Yeah. It's nice to see you around. I'm glad you are. Let's see. That was that answer for that. Okay. Let's go ahead and do some more news. What do you got? What's your big news? Let's do, what's your biggest news thing you want to talk about that you saw this week?
Well, Highguard is shutting down in 6 days from now.
Yeah.
And holy moly, that was fast.
Yeah.
Even for other games that have failed, just in comparison. And how, like, they were talking about this roadmap they have, right? And commitment to, like, future updates and everything. And how, at the end of the day, not out of malice, but none of that matters if the game doesn't land. Right? It, like we said the other day, something like, if the game is good, all is forgiven. You also have the opposite, which is like if the game doesn't land, then all promises are void.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a tough reality check there.
Yeah, I mean, Tencent, so that everybody understands the business of everything real quick. Tencent, biggest publisher in the world, technically. More money than God. And they pulled out of this small game, which I'm sure wouldn't have cost a ton to at least keep the servers running and have a small team. Even they pulled out. Like I think that's a good indicator of just how many problems there are in current gaming, budgetary concerns. There's the idea of go into the next thing instead of regurgitating, trying to rebuild this title. Nacon, the bankruptcy with Nacon because Big Ben wasn't paying the bills. It's like it's happening everywhere. Microsoft, Sony, Concord, Nintendo, not so much. I'm sure there's been some really terrible results on some of their games, or not their games, but maybe other games on there, but they're usually, you don't hear about this as much. But those big games like this and companies going away, it sucks. It just sucks. Jeff killed the game. LMA. Oh, he set them up to fail. I don't think he killed the game. But I do think you're absolutely right that, boy, did it not help at all. It caused all kinds of confusion.
Yeah.
And it caused a lot of ire amongst not that game's devs, but other devs. A lot of devs were like, what the fuck is this? Like, you magically gave them a free shot, supposedly, and then we find out later Tencent was the one who was actually footing this, so why would you give them a free shot at this last one if it was Tencent? So, yeah, it's weird. It's so weird.
Yeah, a good example as well of like good intentions backfiring. I'm sure he had, the best of intentions there with that.
I mean, probably, yeah. I don't see how you could say he didn't, but I mean, it's possible. I mean, you wouldn't want to set a game up for failure. So
I guess he could have seen it coming too, because he's been
in the industry.
He's been around forever. He knows the impact of these
right,
things.
But if experience mattered that much, you and I would be watching the Chicago Bulls still win and fucking, every single championship. Like, just because so much shit has to be right. And it has to be right every time. Games and making something over 5 years, it's why I had somebody say there's no chance GTA 6 is bad. And I'm like, first of all, there for sure is a chance. Arbitrarily small? Maybe. There's absolutely a chance that with their major writer leaving, major producer leaving, that it doesn't hit. That the difficulty of doing satire in a world where you and I probably agree that you wake up and National Enquirer from the 1980s probably feels very much like solid factual writing compared to today. Like, you could literally grab a National Enquirer from the 1980s and go, this was today, right? Because of how crazy it was back then with the guesses and all the weird shit to where it is now. We're pretty in satire in real life right now. What if that doesn't hit, right? What if it doesn't hit? What if the characters don't hit because the main writer who's nailed all the characters for years? So it takes a mountain of people to make one of these games and make it hit. It wouldn't be day one though. If GTA turned out to be shit, it would still make a ton of sales. And then you would start to see the reporting would start to be
off, or something. Yeah.
Because even if
it would be funny
if I went out, I know people trust me and I absolutely appreciate it. But if I went out and said, this game is utter trash, it's buggy, utter trash. If it was, let's say it really was, this was like Saints Row, the remake level or worse. That wasn't trash, but you get my drift. I would probably lose a huge number of supporters, patrons, people who believed in me, even if it was all true, just because of how GTA fits into the discussion and the idea of everything. But it is absolutely possible. I just think it's really low.
Yeah. Maybe unlikely that technically it's a bad game, but I could definitely see if the vibe doesn't click with people. Like, we always talk about GTA 4 having that sort of
darker vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, darker vibe where like the guy was depressed or whatever, and he painted the whole thing with that palette.
Yep, definitely.
I could see that, like, oh, the game is just a downer. Like, okay, the writer was depressed, and now we have depressed.
I think that hit a lot
GTA
of people
6.
with Last of Us 2 as well, but not a failure in any way. But I'm saying
but it was
downer story,
very heavy.
Yeah,
right?
It was very heavy, and a lot of people were like, "This is just sort of." But that's the idea between fun and entertainment, right? Entertainment doesn't always have to be fun. Fun doesn't even really have to be fun for some people, because everybody's idea of fun, everybody's idea of fun is a little bit different. But real quick, Sony's PS5 ports increasingly were losing audience share. Sales data indicates PS5 ports were basically reporting lower and lower numbers, which is what I talked about at the starting. So they decided we're going to pull that back. We were going to talk a little bit about the future, and but I think the future is pretty obscure right now. I've been asked to talk about like how everything might come together with these companies and like Sony pulling away. I think Sony's pulling away not only because they didn't do well, but because they didn't want to tighten the exclusivity window. They wanted to keep it wide. By that point, most people already got the games. I don't see Sony dropping that unless they are in trouble. And with Microsoft switching more towards wait for our next item, there isn't as much competition in their exact space. Switch 2 is still competition in some way, so are PCs, but you get my drift. The main ones aren't, the competition's not there. So what we're seeing is them do what I warned you guys a couple years ago would happen if Microsoft releases on other platforms, which is there is no contract for these companies to release new games on these new platforms. They are going to do whatever makes sense business-wise, and it's why whenever you get somebody who's like, we want the hard-hitting questions, We want you to ask Microsoft, how exactly long are you going to do this? Or how do you exactly choose exclusives? Dude, you got to be stupid. You have to be dumb as fuck to ask those type of questions, because any answer you get, number one, will be faked, because a lot of it's gut reaction. This game isn't selling great. Let's put that on the pallet. And then you get a bunch of people who make a decision. There is no written rule somewhere that's like after 1 year, blah, 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 unless somebody signs into that contract. That makes sense because you're aiming at the major title, then you're looking at the port. So right now, Sony's doing that. Sony's also opened up a rental service. And obviously, if you saw that happening, you realized they probably wouldn't do that unless they were starting to pull all their stuff back to their console. And expect a price raise for sure. As they become the only competition there, and as RAM prices go up, they'll, I just don't see there not being a price increase on anything that's selling as the longer we dive into it, even above and on top of any other price raises we've seen. Those are the future things I see for sure. I also see that if a newcomer comes in or the industry changes a little bit and Sony is threatened in some way, you're going to see them branch out. That's how you make money. That's how you do. I mean, unless you just want to kill your business and you're like, nope, we're just going to sit here and do the same shit. But a smart businessman looks at like...
to respond to it.
And it's smart for them right now to retract. They weren't doing great. Internally, they don't want to extend to their exclusivity window. They want it to be, at a certain tightness, which is like a year to a year and a half for the most part. And they had issues. If you remember, with the first couple ports, they started to fix them. Nixies they bought, and then they started getting better and better. But listen to this. They started getting better and better after a major purchase for Nixies, but the sales got worse and worse, which to a business is the dreaded cross, which is where your cost went up, but your return starts going down. And anybody who understands business would have seen that cross and been like, what the fuck is going on? Because you take on, when you buy that company, you're taking them on. So now you're in charge of a ton more. You've got overhead on your company. You've got management. You've got all this kind of stuff. You take them on. They're doing a great job. I think they've really done well with a lot of the ports. Not perfect, but well with a lot of the ports. And as the return goes down, you look at it and you're like, what do we do? So some people are worried about Nixies. It's possible, but PC development and console development have a shit ton of overlap. I just see them using those guys to help them get their games out sooner. Whether those be service games, whether those be, another game. You're looking at Wolverine is coming. Insomniac's basically stated Wolverine's for sure coming this year. Help them QA. It may not be what Nixi's developers want, but we don't know that. I think Nixi's developers probably want what we all want, which is employment. So most likely they'll be happy, if they don't get cut up, at least for a while. And I think that's a fair progression. What do you think about all that? Any thoughts of your own on like the future as you see it?
I think there is no turning back on the direction of like putting out games eventually on PC. That just makes too much sense. I think they're just leaving money at the table if they don't. But I'm curious if they are going to do maybe longer periods until the games do come out. So maybe not just the year, but even like 2 years or something, and milk it more to try to really play into the, we got this console that gives you access to all these games you don't want to miss out on.
Yeah.
And I think 1 year is just about where people are okay waiting for a game. But if you go to like 2 years and you tell people you got to wait 2 years to play GTA 6, that really moves the needle, I think, towards like a lot of people deciding to actually buy the damn console just to play it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a certain, I would say even a year, I think, is a long time for a big game. A lot of people want to get into that big game day one. and a year feels like an eternity. And you can even go so far as to say soak in 5 days, because if you've ever played a game that's got an early access of a week and you start playing it, you're probably already spoilered.
You go in there, everybody's beaten the game by the time you're in.
Yep, you're probably already spoilered. There's probably all kinds of, issues and stuff like that. So, let's see. GTA 6 not coming to Switch 2? Yeah, I don't see that happening, right? Power-wise. Just feels like it's impossible for GTA to come to,
Forgive me if you mentioned this and I missed it. Did you mention the Bloomberg report where they were saying that PlayStation was backing out from releasing titles to PC in the future?
That's what this entire conversation's been about.
Oh, I missed somehow I zoned out in the beginning of that. I missed that it was coming from the same place that I read as well.
Mm-hmm.
So just converging to the same thing, but I missed that part. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, but because multiple people reported it, that it was happening. Then they did. Yeah, for a second, man, you had me really worried. I was like, is there some other thing I'm missing? But no, it's all connected.
Okay.
Let's see. Masked Off back from last episode. Rent a PS5. Yep. Definitely, you can rent a PS5, borrow a PS5 from a friend to play these single player games, what have you. You'd think this would be the last place for marathon hate. There is no marathon hate. Literally said we actually wanted it to do good. You'd think this would be the last place. I'll be back to laugh at y'all when Marathon is beating Ark in a month. First of all, I'll see you in a month. Second, if you're laughing about it, why would you laugh at numbers? I don't quite understand where that's coming from. Yeah, you probably need to step away from gaming if you're that tight. Like that's.
I think you're a bit too close to it if you're taking it that personally.
That's pretty tight. That's pretty tight.
Yeah.
I'm gonna laugh at numbers. Okay. Beastie by Nature, $5 super chat. Found out a friend is Big C. Please remind folks to check your man marbles. Check them man marbles so you can keep knocking around. Pun intended. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Dude, as somebody who has had it, I can tell you, even I don't like to go in to a doctor's office or whatever, or have tests done, that kind of stuff. But I can tell you, there's probably nothing worse than having to go through treatment for it, other than death. It is revolting. It's hideous. It's painful. It's devastating. It's horrendous. So if you can figure out a way to go in and get checked, which is an hour of your time, colonoscopy for guys who are older. Now they're dropping the fucking age on that dramatically. You should do it. It is much better than finding out you could have stopped yourself from years of chemotherapy or possibly death by going in and having somebody adjust your nuts once in a while. I've never had a problem with that, but I do always have a weird worry. I'm like, that it will, I think a lot of guys go through life going, I'm impervious until I don't feel impervious. And it's like, yeah, but by the time you don't feel a certain way, something's progressed. Yeah. But we all get that way. Even people like myself, man. I mean, I get blood tested every 3 months for stuff, and I don't like it. It gets in the way of doing shit. And sometimes I'll admit I've put it off for another 3 and gone in 6 months. And even my doctor will be like, dude, you're screwing up your numbers because now we don't have a good time. We can't see if something's progressed. If you get older, you have to watch out for PSA numbers. You have to watch out for, your the prostate hormone secretion and all that stuff as you get older. Yeah, watch your shit, man. And, but, don't stress about it too much. People get tight. They get oh my God, everything's cancer. Everything's cancer. It's not everything's cancer. I mean, Ebola is not cancer, but I could tell you right now, I assume you don't want Ebola either. I don't know. Maybe you do.
Oh, God.
Dude, that sucked. Having Ebola sucked.
I mean, when you get to a certain age, definitely go and check your downstairs.
Yep. And what's even crazier is, I'm not saying you have to, but, I would have probably been able to find out that I had cancer at a much younger age had I went in as a young man. I mean, I don't know. Ball cancer is a notorious killer of young guys. And so ball cancer is the one that, like, for example, I remember
you never expected.
I was 16, and for the football, what do you call it? For the football physical, they would check your nuts. They make sure you didn't have a groin injury or a hernia. And he was like, and there was a check mark that your mom and dad could sign, because I wasn't old enough at 18. At 16, I'm not old enough. And it was like, do you want to check for testicular lumps? Wasn't the most comfortable feeling in the world, but it was good to be checked, you know, because testicular
guy or a
cancer,
girl checking.
Guy or girl. Back then, it was always the same sex, always.
Oh yeah, makes sense.
Young guy, and I think it makes sense for for testosterone-driven dudes. There's just too much. There's too much room for jokes, or for weird shit to be happening. It's like if if somebody's going to be doing it, then I think same sex makes a ton of sense. Then once you're 18, you can choose, but for the most part, I think it makes sense to just have it same sex. Yeah. Yeah. Just like I said, I mean, who knows? It won't even be a doctor probably very soon in the future.
So
they'll use
no funny stories with Big
robots.
Bertha and her big hands. I don't know why in my head I just pictured.
So. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good.
The Jocelinator, $5 super chat, bought a PS5 Pro and a Samsung OLED after the podcast last week. It's given me Snickers vascularity. Much love to that dude. I had call cancer myself. Call cancer, like on the phone, or ball cancer, and you miss the B. I'm assuming.
Oh, the big difference there. Yeah.
Pretty assuming he means that, but
that's pretty sweet though.
Yeah.
The Samsung OLED part, not the
call cancer.
Not the cancer.
Call cancer. Let's see. Big Bertha, Johnny's fantasy. You're not into Big Berthas, are
No.
you? You don't even have a kink for a particular thing unless it was like an anime chick, right? I mean, technically, you don't have like a.
No, not really.
Is there something?
There is one thing. Is like
go ahead.
Smaller ladies is the one thing I usually gravitate towards, but
are we talking
and brunettes?
Warwick Davis, small, like Willow?
No, just because I'm about like 191 centimeters tall.
Okay,
is that like 6'2"? I don't know my feet
6'2".
too well.
Yeah.
I like when ladies are shorter, just kind of like petite, but not extremely. Just
that's fair. Somebody will give you shit for having your own desire and like, not in here.
There you go.
People aren't like that, but yeah.
But by the way, I don't mind flat girls. I know like people talk a lot of shit about it, but I have no issues with
or something
with like a small chest or whatever. Yeah, I don't have any issues with that. So
yeah, either do I.
Just putting it out there. Just saying, someone in chat is like, "Hey,
somebody in chat was
Johnny,
thinking of contacting you, but was worried that you wouldn't like her.
If that was holding you back, slide into my DMs.
Yeah, slide into his DMs. That's exactly.
We can move on from there.
Yeah,
my bad.
I don't even think about that stuff, man. It's always been like attitude first, and if they can handle me because I'm the way I am, and I know it's difficult, and then I can find a lot to like in somebody, I guess, is what I would say. Like I can find a lot to like after a while.
And there would be red flags more on the personality side for me as well, way before like you hit anything physical. Like if there's some stuff like if someone is maybe manipulative, even
they're out. They're
unintended.
Gone. Yeah.
They're out. You could name a bunch of stuff, but like unstable as well. Because I struggle with that. I know some people have it as a disorder where they have the ups and downs and stuff. Almost bipolar, but that's really tough for me. So I try to avoid that too.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Sorry, tangent there.
But anyway, that's all right. Somebody brought up cancer. But anyway, multiple people did. But yeah, so get your man marbles checked.
Yes.
I'm glad, Jostler, you're still around after having it. Good for you. Fight back. Sometimes you just got to fight back. You got to be like, I'm going to kick this cancer right in the nuts. No pun intended.
True.
But sort of true. Yeah, true as well. Let's see.
And listen, the Samsung OLED can't hurt in that process. So good on you.
What if Samsung OLEDs, the light they emitted was cancer curing? You just put your nuts up on a table and just let it bathe your balls. Let it bathe your balls. That's actually sounds really good. Spetsu asks, Microsoft announced Project Helix, and it seems like they're aiming at 2027. Okay, that's what I had thought. With Sony pushing back its next console to 28, 29, Steambox not being too powerful, seems like it might be hitting a perfect release window and quite a hefty price. Do you think it might be a redemption that Xbox is looking for? No, I think Xbox won't dive into the exact same competition that they did last time. I don't think the redemption and the way we think of it is even what they'll be going for. Yeah. Master Paz says, when people preempt statements about games or other media with "this is not a spoiler," what do you think are the chances that it is a spoiler? 100%, 99%, or always? This is not a spoiler is definitely difficult because I feel that statement is usually triggered when you are slightly worried it could be a spoiler. So if somebody blurts something, it's either a mistake or it's not a spoiler. But if somebody, puts a little prefix on there and they're like, hey, this isn't a spoiler, and then you're like, uh-oh, here we go. This isn't a spoiler, but when you change characters halfway through and you're like, brother, that's a big spoiler. Spetsu also asks, what would you like to see more, Diablo campaign in Doom or Doom Slayer class in Diablo? Oh, damn. Damn, that's a Diablo campaign in Doom. What would that... I mean, Diablo and Doom, I feel like because of the hell overlap, Diablo campaigns are still...
The only thing I can think of is what if you had like the loot system in Doom, where you're picking up a bunch of loot and like equipping it.
Do you think that would be fun to run and stop and run and stop and run and stop a lot? Because I mean,
yeah, probably not, right? Because Doom is all momentum. You're just going.
Yeah. So Doom Slayer class and Diablo for me, probably. Because I mean, otherwise it would just be, I don't think that would be very good.
That could work.
Looks like they're talking about Blizzard for some reason. Let's see. Oh, people are answering. This happens all the time. I'll open up that damn podcast thread and I'll be like, here's where you ask questions. And for some reason,
here we go.
Everybody starts answering the questions. And I'm like, guys, what are you doing?
You had one job.
You had one job. I'm just joking. You don't have any jobs at all. You're all unemployed when it comes to gaming. You can do whatever you want. Oh, hey, Captain Bagardi asked a question. What's the first game that you would play if you had neurogaming? For example, brain-computer interface implanted. Leisure Suit Larry for me. I'm just joking. It's a sex game. Well, if you had maybe so. If you had a so let's say Musk shows up and he's like, we're going to drill this shit into your head. You'll be able to control a game with your mind. What game would be like interesting to you to try out first?
Wow.
I already know what mine is.
That's actually a really good one. What do you got?
I would pick something ancient, like literally like something fast but super basic, like ColecoVision's Tennis or something, just because I would want to start at the low end. And that way I could almost experience the time dilation of getting more and more advanced and having it work. Because if I feel like if I started a really advanced game, there would be complexities of trying to figure, but there would be something about the pure gameplay of these two bars and a ball. Or I could give that up and say Tetris or columns. I don't like Tetris as much, but I think the shapes would be a little bit easier to manipulate than the colors in columns. But I love the idea of starting out basic and being able to play one of those games I played as a kid with my mind. Just like Charles Xavier. You'd have to put your hand up. How about this? I have a question for you. If your superpower was mind control, it was either half as powerful, so you could like control somebody for 10 seconds if you didn't do a gesture. But if you had to do this, And then you had to go, if this is how you have to do it, right? You have to go to cast it, but it lasts 20 seconds. Which would you take? So it's either 10 seconds where you're like, or 20 seconds. Oh.
The second one is a crazy debuff. It just would be unusable. Yeah.
It is. But
yeah, you got to go for the first one.
I would go for the 20 because here's why. I think anybody who saw you would be like, well, for sure isn't that weirdo. Like, dude, look at him.
True.
And
look at that weird guy.
Look at that weirdo. But if they're looking in like ATM cameras and you got Johnny going for 20 seconds.
He's for sure an X-Man.
He's for sure an X-Man. Right. But this guy, that's not, no way. You'd be like, nah, dude, nobody does that.
Didn't Xavier?
That's what I said. Professor
Xavier?
X. Yeah, that's where I got
it.
He
did. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Always with the poop face. He's not as bad as Magneto, especially in the new movies where Magneto's like cat hands, jazz hands kind of thing. And then he's like, I got to poop really bad. And he's trying to hold it in and he's shaking and sweat and a little sweat beating off his nose.
But he is lifting like actual mountains or whatever. So
yeah, Magneto's pretty tough.
You can understand.
Yeah, Magneto's pretty tough. It depends on what movie you're watching or comic you're reading too, because power debuffs and buffs are a big thing in comics.
He was crazy overpowered in a lot of those.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Let's see. Oh, the other thing I want to talk about, man. Did you see the Remnant? Control Resonant gameplay / previews that popped up? So first of all, they were like, "This is not a Souls-like," and I'm like, "Okay, I guess I didn't."
We knew that, by the way.
Yeah. I don't think anybody tried or assumed it was, but they said that there's no parry, so I guess that's what they meant. And it looks to be generically pretty. I mean, the people who saw it said, looks to be a game in that universe. Just it's switched to all be up close, and I've stated that's not what I want, but I'll play the hell out of it. If it turns out to be fun. But they also stated that she is not playable at all in the game. They were like, we do not want to lie to you, and I appreciate that. I want to say how much I appreciate a developer doing that. They don't have to. Maybe they shouldn't have. But I like a developer saying, hey, before this gets... And by the way, this is an absolute response to YouTubers. It is. And you're going to see more developers doing it, because even the developers I talk to all the time are like, oh my God, this YouTuber said this. It's not at all what's happening. So we are at a time when misinformation can crank something up or down, devastate something. These companies are watching that shit closely, and they decided, hey, we got to nip some stuff in the bud before people are like, I thought it was a blank. And instead, they're like, no, it is not. Now, could they be lying and that Jesse's playable? Yeah, but I don't think they are. I don't see Remedy as a lying company. They're just like, no, she's not playable. It's just the brother.
Yeah, it's good to have the expectation well set. That we're signing up for more of like a combo-based game, right? With all the melee stuff. Like, you got a big-ass hammer.
Yep.
That's more the vibe, rather than what Control was, with a lot of shooting, quite a lot of aiming. I think it's cool. I like the direction. Will I miss the ranged combat? Yeah, probably. I think that was a big strength in the game. But as long as we still got some cool destruction and stuff, I think that can still work really well. It's just that naturally you would destroy way more stuff with with all the weapons and stuff from the prior game.
I think that their storytelling is what's going to have to be adjusted so much, because ranged allows for overarching thought processes that are about a wider selection of things when it comes to just how you present stuff and how the person takes it in. And facing off against an enemy that's distant, when you finally do get close, it can be quite scary, because you're now close to the thing that you've achieved distance from. And being up front and being just a brute is like, okay, we've seen this. Because most games don't do what Control 1 did. If you really look at games, most games aren't like that. And they certainly don't try to tell a weird SCP story at the same time. And so that separation now the lack of separation now and going right up front and hitting a ghost in the face with a hammer could be numbing to me. In fact, I think it probably will be numbing to me. Doesn't mean I won't like it, but there was something about just the way in which that story was told and the differences, it made it all feel otherworldly. And now you're going out and you're walking up the side of a building and you're smashing something with a hammer. So I don't know, man. Well, we'll just have to see. Well, or change.
In some sense, it's more intense because you're right up there, right? So you're confronting these monsters and stuff like more upfront. So that can be more intense, maybe. But there is a sense of threat that you had with Jesse that you needed to leash enemies really well. And if they got in your range, then you were cooked, kind of. Right? So there was this like threat feeling that constantly you needed to manage your distance and not let stuff get too close to you. And with this is kind of the opposite, where you're the one wanting to gap close.
Yeah.
So you're more the aggressor, more so than being like a reactive kind of survivor style. Just a different dynamic.
For smoking. I was disappointed that there's no gun. Yeah.
No gun. Yeah.
Yeah. It we in a way you could say Bungie and Marathon, it's a big separation of the two styles of titles, though the gameplay or the guns are the same, you're still shooting. These companies, there's usually always somebody who's like, let's try something a bit different, but we'll just have to see. I don't know. What I've said, graphically it looks good. I like SCP. I like it. I don't even know why I call it SCP stuff because shit existed well before that. In fact, I think it's sort of derogatory to just throw SCP on top of everything because that ignores like 99%
but the whole
of what
atmosphere,
made
right?
SCP a thing. Yeah, I like.
And like, are we gonna be finding these tidbits like we did in Control, where naturally, just because it was like a bureaucratic thing, you would just find these papers, right? And like track records of things that happened and stuff.
Maybe we'll have a janitor on the roof of every building who will just talk weird to us. Why is
talking, about something.
Just constantly cleaning.
He will be, right? For sure. Won't he? The janitor?
I don't know. Yeah. Who knows? It might be a different like entity or whatever was going on there. I know what's going on, but I don't want to spoil anything. So it might be a different thing. Yeah, we'll just have to see. Alan Wake 1 and 2 were much closer, really, when you think about the alignment, and even they had some whiplash. There was some whiplash for players who had played 1 and then went to 2. Not always positive either. What else do you got? What do you got for subjects?
Let's see. Whoops, sorry about that.
That's all right.
Huh. What other news?
I'm chasing that monster with this Mountain Dew.
Dude, I think I got nothing else for news this week.
For news this week, you got nothing else? Okay, let me grab some stuff. Oh, South of Midnight releases on PlayStation 5 on March 31st. Very cool. So anybody who hasn't played that,
nice,
enjoyable game. Let's talk a little bit about Requiem then. So let's see. People started playing Friday of last week?
Yep.
Is that correct? That's correct? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's been out for about 5 days.
Has it been out?
Or maybe 6 or like a week or something.
Yeah, so that
and I did see it sold, by the way, like 5 million.
I know, 5 million.
In the first few days. Crazy.
Yeah, nuts. Right. Especially because technically, it's not necessarily everybody's gig. It's horror. I don't consider them horror. I'm just saying it's a genre. That's where people think it fits. Whatever. But from what most of the people I talk to think it's their favorite one. I think that's way overboard for me. But I get where, they're coming from. But Void was streaming it yesterday in the Discord. A bunch of people were, and they were all like, yeah, this is probably my favorite. I always think that you need a little bit of distance to say this is my favorite in a series. Give yourself a month after you played it to really, because recency bias, there's a reason why it's named and is a thing. But people have just been absolutely adoring it, which is really cool. I think it's well put together. I do want to know what. Well, we'll have to see. I don't even want to spoil that. It's not even a spoiler, but yeah, to keep everything at the absolute lowest. I think that there were some discussions about the time that was really weird. The time to beat. Like, to me, dude, like that game, if you have a game that's 8 hours of amazing for $60, totally worth it. I'm fine with that. Like that to me is like, okay, great. If it's totally amazing. If you have a game that's 50 hours that's totally amazing at $60, I'm also fine with that. At some point, we would worry. You know, I think Resident Evil's remake of 3 was definitely right there at the cusp of like, you know, that this is definitely needed a little bit more there. You know, that was a short ass campaign. But I mean, for the most part, I don't know. Like, what's the shortest game? Would 6 hours? What's the shortest game that would stop you? Let's say there's no replayability matrix in it, which Resident Evil has. But let's say the game that you're thinking of getting doesn't have a replayability to it, but it's amazing. For $60, what would be the price point for you? Would you hedge on a 6 hour game, or would it have to be 4 for you to be like, oh, it's not worth it, or 3?
Yeah, I think 6 is a good rule of thumb. 6 hours at the bare minimum. It really depends on what the game is, but unless it's something super exotic and doing something incredibly outside of the ordinary, yeah, I would expect for full price, you know, at least 6 hours.
Yeah, and I don't do this for every game, but I do think it's pretty easy to compare if you do the dollar. If you say $10 an hour
per hour or something.
I'm not saying that's the end all. I'm saying it's good if you want to parse that to maybe compare it to something, or compare it to even what you make in an hour. Is it worth, you know,
True.
You know, a half of my wage per hour to play this, whatever. You don't have to do that. I'm just saying, I think we all do some calculus in our heads whenever we hear a game, you know, blah, blah, blah. But it is funny that this is the only industry where that's a thing. Like books, average 300 to 500 pages. That's not going to be necessarily double the time or what have you. You buy a CD, if you still buy CDs. Let's say you buy an album off SoundCloud. For the most part, there's sort of a price middle line there that is nowhere as egregious as games, where a game can be 60 for 6 hours. It can be 60 for 300 hours. It can be 60 for a title that doesn't end. Like,
yeah,
there's a reason why everything is so confusing in games sometimes when trying to understand like what you're getting, because there's such a variety there. But
yeah, I think in that mental calculus, you have a lot of other variables that maybe you don't spell out. So it's not just like, yeah, no, a good amount of hours for my money. It's also what is the moment to moment in those hours. Are you maybe seeing something pretty incredible that you haven't seen before? Graphically could be the case. Or more so, is it just like fun gameplay? You know, like Neo 3, I got like 45 hours. It was a good buy. I'm happy with the buy. I don't know if I'll finish it, but I already got like really good value from it, in my opinion. But I would still say like there are some other games where every hour was more impactful, maybe. Like I think maybe Death Stranding 2, I was kind of more immersed, if you want to say it that way.
That's fair.
So it's kind of hard to compare nuts to nuts. That is not how the saying goes. Yeah.
No. Nobody needs to be talking about docking here. Yeah, Still Wakes the Deep is good. I would say when you look at these two, I think one of the big situations that occurs with like games is it's even more interesting to say, what if you love a game? You loved it. You already know you loved it. And like, would your price change? What's one that you loved that, let's say, was super short, or one that you loved that you look at and you're like, yeah, I might not have made that choice, but I did back then, or I did recently. And I would pay more than 60 for it, because there are games that I would. What I mean by that is I bought the game at 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever. But then now that I've played it, I'm like, I would definitely play more or pay more, or would have paid more if had I known it was going to be that enjoyable. And everybody's discretionary fund is different, but I have a lot of games that I've loved so much that I'm like, yeah, if that was 90 and I knew this amount of fun was going to come out of it, it would have been bought right away at 90, which is coming at it from a different side, but I think it's actually pretty important. Man, there's just so much variability in that shit. I was just asked how long it took me to get through Dragon's Dogma 2, I think. And I was laughing going, dude, I'm going to tell you how long it took me to get through it. Me. But if somebody just got done playing Dragon's Dogma, they're not going to have the 5-hour learning period I had to remember the moves or to change things around. There are also maybe they'll be more stymied on some of the special moves that are done in 2 because they have a motor memory from playing 1, where I wouldn't have that. And then there's, did you get lucky on things? Did you get more money? How did you buy armor? Did you buy armor? Did you mini-max your trips to go to the stores to get the stuff you needed? Or did you push forward? Did you play it exploratory?
Did you fast travel?
Did you fast travel? Did you get stuck in... Dude, it's so many. There's so many variables, man. I mean, it's ridiculous how many variables there are in a single game and how long it takes to play. It just feels to me like it is definitely a difficult discussion to have, and one that I just don't think there'll ever be an answer, because we all play different. I mean, completely different.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things like porn. We know it when we see it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And when something just isn't a good value proposition, that, maybe it is too short for the money. And that just, it's kind of evident when you look at it. Like when we talked about COD being 3 hours, that clearly is not enough for, let's say, paying full price.
This is
for
why
that game.
I think that the conversation that happened a couple of weeks ago, where people were talking about the pricing of games, and they were saying, weirdly enough, for many people, $7 is still $5. $7.50 becomes $10. $19 becomes $20. Makes sense because it's only 1 cent up. But when you get to $25 or $30, it's immediately $40 in the human's brain. And I think the same thing happens with the amount of time, your experience with stuff. Because if you just said something that's super important, you said 3 hours is obviously, and I think that makes it. It's just $5. It doesn't go up to $5. $3 doesn't go up to $5, or 3 hours doesn't go up to $5. It goes to 0. If there's a price, that is
just
a
falls
very
off
real
the
thing.
cliff.
It falls off the cliff. Point. Yeah. So the moment somebody says, "Oh, 3 hours," well, that's technically, for the amount of money, the delta between the two, that becomes 0. It's not worth it.
Right.
Or the campaign, at least. We could say that because it had multiplayer and it had all that stuff. But the campaign, it sort of goes to 0. It's like, okay, that's gone. But then when you get to 5, I've noticed 5 usually means 5. But a lot of times for people, 5 is like sort of the acceptance. But what I've noticed is 6 and 8 become like arbitrarily sort of bloated up to 10 or 12 in a person's brain of what's acceptable. Even though they know those numbers, they compare the 6 or 8 to an other game that was 10 or 12, and they're like, all acceptable, all sort of grandfathered in. But then there's another return, which is, I think there's 2 other numbers, 20 and 40. And it depends on the genre. Because if you hear somebody say a RPG is 20, 20 now is back down to 6 or 8. Now we're starting.
So it feels too short.
It feels too short. And if you're talking about a JRPG that's 20, I'm not saying people wouldn't like playing that game. Now you're like, that's weird. 40 seems to be like, whenever I talk to anybody about JRPGs, 40 is this number that's always bantered around. 40 hours is sort of like your minimum. 40 hours is sort of like, or maybe your sort of optimized minimum, I would say, where you're still getting the story, you get a couple side quests, 40 hours, boom. You even see developers say we're aiming for 40 hours. Then Everything else is bloat, which is weird. If somebody says it's 80 hours, there's got to be a bunch of bloat. If somebody says there's 150 hours, bloat. Dying Light said 500 hours. Come on. Right? Come on.
That was a crazy one.
Yeah. Let's not pretend. That's a bloat. But it is weird how humans, that is how we do it. You do it with the number, and then you also look at, especially genres start to come into it. Racing. If you told me a racing game took 20 hours, that's 0. Not to be rude towards people who like, that's a 0. Unless that game is an arcade racing game, if you said this racing game was 20 hours, I'd be like, no, it's not. That's 0. I mean, I wouldn't argue it in a realistic sense. I'm saying that the worthwhileness of it would be like, whoa,
interesting.
20's low. Well, dude, because especially when you start getting into your GTs or your Forzas, I'm not saying you can't play them and enjoy them and feel you got the money, but if that was bandied out as, it takes about 20 to, let's say, win the festival, get what you want, I'd be like, what else do you have in there? So it depends on the genre is what I was saying. And by the way, that number might be off for other people, but I'm just saying in an arbitrary discussion off the top of my head, you can definitely tell numbers change depending on odd, even, I think. And they depend on the lower ones change pretty dramatically towards things being sort of worth it. And then the higher ones, they just become not worth it if there's a bunch. Or not worth it, but not added. There's no, if somebody says this game's 120,
so you have an impression that it's filler.
It's filler, yeah. It becomes almost a negative weight when you say this. Because I saw somebody talk about Crimson Desert, and they were like, man, I just don't have the time. I wanted something like Jedi Survivor. And I'm like, what? You wanted that to be Jedi Survivor in its time frame? That is so short for that style of game. But it was their own desire. Nothing wrong with that. It's just, I think that I think
there's also a bit of a opposite reaction to that minimum, where it used to be before people wanted a minimum of hours, right? To like justify putting the money. But I feel like now a lot of people are appreciating short games. And I often hear people say it's a short game as a good thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because attention span and all these difficulties that people have, or more so just because like people are busy, like people are maybe they got families and stuff, and they don't have 80 hours to get into a Persona or something like that.
Well, let me give you the opposite of that. The amount of games not being completed is rising dramatically. So if that's rising dramatically, and then somebody says, I need a shorter game so I can complete it, but they're not completing the shorter games either, the only real answer is back to your attention span. So if you're like, okay, these short games, they're not being completed either, which short games
it's not even the length anymore.
Dude, Dispatch
actually
had like especially as it went on, Dispatch had a pretty low completion rate, even from people who were saying, I love this game. Yeah. And you're like, all right. So if you just lean those two to the right and say, all right, that's going to the right. And then also what we're seeing from just the gaming industry as a whole, more games aren't being completed. Then the only other thing left is to go the other way and say that the attention span and the specialness. I do think, not to be rude to anybody, this isn't rude, this is just fact, that if you have a bunch of choice, you may sample a bunch of choice. I'm the opposite. If I go to a chuck wagon and there's 20 unflavored chickens, I don't give a fuck that there's a bunch of different type of chicken. That's not for me. I want a little bit of everything. That's how I feel games are right now. But I think a lot of people don't think that. I think a lot of people look at games as it's this buffet of incredibleness. And I think I'm maybe a little bit more cynical, where I'm like, I see a lot more similarity. You'll see somebody say, oh, this game's doing something totally different. I don't know if you've seen that, but you'll see somebody do a write-up or a YouTube. This game's doing something totally different. You are not ready for this. And you're like, nah, the game is quite literally doing the same shit as everybody else. So maybe I don't have that cynicism yet, but or sorry, maybe I don't have that wonder yet. I like that a bunch of games are being offered, but I think for a lot of people, it's also the collection of things, the worry about backlogs, and yet they buy their own backlog. Like, if there's a problem with backlog, it's got to be the consumer, because you're the one who bought the shit. So if you imagine having just that much secondary guilt, which I don't have any. I don't have any guilt. My backlog is deleted from Steam. I just hide all the old. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. And if I'm going back and search, I can always bring it back up, but I'm not going to be reminded consistently because there's probably a reason I'm not playing them. But like, when you think about gaming and the discussion of backlog, for the most part, it is a self-inflicted guilt. You know, oh, I have such a big backlog. Technically, you don't. I mean, I think game companies want you to feel that. I think that there's a psychology there of like, buy it now, play it later, you know, and you're just like, dude, I don't know. It feels
you don't want to miss out.
You don't want to miss out. Yeah.
That's a big part of it, right? It's just the FOMO. You don't want to be the one guy in your group of friends who
have it. Yeah.
Doesn't have it, you know, can't talk about it.
Yeah, dude, it's such a weird thing, man. I don't even know where it comes. I mean, I know where it comes from. I don't know how to feel it. There's no. Do you have backlog? I've never asked you, or maybe I have. Do you have backlog? What's the term? Shame, guilt, sexual attraction? I don't know what the fucking.
No, I've become very comfortable with dropping games if it's not being fun. Some I tend to try to finish more stubbornly, like Souls games, because usually like there's fun in the challenge itself.
Makes sense, yeah.
But no, the only time it comes up is if there's like a lull in games coming out. I will look back and be like, you know, what did I miss? Like recently I booted up Four Wonders, which I had missed. It's a great game to jump back into. So that technically. Yeah.
You said Four Wonders, so I was just making sure we're talking about the same thing. You said Four Wonders, and but I knew. That's how I parsed. I was like, I know he means Age of Wonders 4. But
okay.
Hey, Unforgiven instead of or whatever it is. The
Unforgiven,
other one. Yeah. Like I'll call shit the wrong stuff. But anyway, yeah. So you don't really feel that. You don't. There's no real.
I don't feel it, and I personally don't think there's any. There's nothing about finishing a game that makes you more worthy as a gamer. I know that some people talk about it like, ooh, you know, with pride, like, dude, I finished another game, and they kind of catalog all the games they're completing and stuff. To me, it's all about the journey. And if the journey is fun and I want to stick it out to the end, then that's the juice. But we've talked about it very often. I find the endings in games are actually underwhelming, you know, and it's really just the journey itself I remember. So yeah, I'm not too stressed out about finishing games. What I find though is that often I'm playing a game of a certain type, and then maybe a new game comes out that is more the vibe I'm after.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So for example, now I'm playing Neo 3, which I'm enjoying. It's a great game, but I'm also really in the mood, for example, to go and play Resident Evil 9.
Yeah, right.
So there is a bit of conflict at times. And I know that if I drop off and go play that other game, it's very unlikely I'll go back.
Right.
Because it'll be so hard, right, to go back to the skill level you're at. So there is some conflict, but I think all of it is positive. It just means there's a lot of good stuff competing for your dollar, for your attention. And all of it is like a good problem to have at the end of the day.
We could also be at a sort of a crux, sort of a difficulty right now with our pricing. In that, other than the $70 thing that recently happened, games had stuck to $60 for decades. And many of us save or work with the idea of, do I have discretionary income to buy this game at said price, right? You save stuff. You budget. Your wife wants some money for this. Your kid needs some cash for this. And you're like, great, but I also need $60 for Requiem, right? It's happened for so long And now there's so many offerings in that space that I think a lot of people they see something, and instead of a thought process towards getting it to effectively be worth it, they're buying it because they have that money and because it's available then they get it. And then they don't realize that every time they open any store, that store is geared towards selling you the next thing. You know, and now we have algorithms doing sale prices, which I thought was crazy. And of course I should have known that, but I had forgotten. So now there's liquid prices. So have you heard this fucking whole gambit yet?
No.
So listen to this.
Nope.
You go in, you buy a hard drive, right? On a store. You buy the hard drive. Arbitrarily, the algorithm can lower the price of hard drive mounts. And then it'll show you a hard drive mount stating 20% off. But it's not 20% off for anybody. It's 20% off for you. So in the old days, it was ads would show up on web pages doing that. So that I knew about, where if you bought something, you'd see some ads for other stuff that was tangentially connected. Now it's the storefronts doing liquid prices. And you can do liquid prices in many storefronts, which is like, oh, damn. Okay. So that means the ability to get you to buy 2, 3, 4 things is a lot higher. And I'm going to mention him, Rory. Dude, one of the smartest things I ever heard him say was just recently. He'd said it before, but I finally picked up on what he said. The difference between Walmart and Amazon. Did you hear this discussion? For games?
No.
He was talking about games, but he was saying everything. The difference between Walmart and Amazon is Walmart is a great place to go and buy 20 things that you know you can get at Walmart. Amazon, because of the way the shopping carts work and the different time deliveries, is actually only really good for buying about 2 to 4 things before you start getting variability in your delivery times or cost of delivery, because some will be like, we don't deliver this with Prime. We do, blah, blah, blah. And so they know that. Amazon knows that. So what Amazon is doing is trying what I'm talking about, like the liquid services, all these prices. You get the little tiny box that says this is available elsewhere, you know, and you can click that and see. They're trying that because until they do, they won't be the Amazon or they won't be the Walmart of where to go and buy stuff. So I decided to put that to the test as a big Walmart or as a big Amazon buyer, and we have a Walmart nearby. I never in history, even during Christmases, have ever had a single purchase more than 10 items. And I noticed arbitrarily I had been picking the particular ones that all went in one delivery time. I didn't want to get one on Monday, one on Tuesday. So Christmas, which is a big one, I was ordering early. True. But I brought up all my sheets. Then I had AI look at all the purchases. And I was like, I need to know, have I ever made a purchase where there were arbitrary dates and there was more than 10? Never in the history. And you know me, I buy a lot of shit. Well, I don't anymore, but I used to buy a ton of shit, many of it not needed. You know, especially when we were setting up the channel, you know, buying a speaker here, a subwoofer, buying a camera, trying to put it here, buy 15 mounts. And I got to tell you, Rory's a genius in that, because that was one of the first times where I was like, oh, so the same could be applied to stores. And if you notice it, Steam has this problem still. You go to Steam, you see a game, you decide to buy one part of the DLC. What does it do? You've already got this overlapping with another DLC that you own. So now you're there arbitrarily looking, and they're trying to fix that too. And I don't know if you saw this, but Steam recently announced that now they're alerting people to different things with DLCs and overlaps and all this kind of stuff, because if they can clean that up, they can jump into Humble. So Humble Bundle's pretty easy. It's this amount of money for this number of things, right? So that one's a much easier purchase system when you think about it than Steam's store. But the store that gets this right, Johnny, and the store that gets liquid prices right with instant arbitrary sales, and I mean right, it's got to get them right. So you go and you buy Resident Evil, and it's like, we checked your library. You don't have 3 and 4, and they're both remastered. We're going to give you 3 and 4 for blank price off. Is going to be a disaster for people buying games. Because you know it's going to happen. Watch what happens with Humble.
They're going to hack into your situation.
Look at what happens with Humble Bundle, man. I'll have people send me 25 codes. I bought. They had 3 games on sale for 9 cents off of their original price, so I got it through Humble Bundle, and then here's 20, completely arbitrary codes. And you're just like,
Yeah.
okay. Because that package
That is so true.
makes sense. It's a weird one, man. It's like there's some weird psychology there, and liquid prices are. I mean, I'm watching out I don't get caught, and I know about this stuff, and I'm like, okay, I got to make sure that I don't just arbitrarily buy. I mean, 2 for 1, 3 for 1. You know, we've already seen those.
Yeah.
This is just more nefarious in that it doesn't try that. It arbitrarily throws in stuff you might need and then reduces those prices. And you're like, ooh.
You know, I always thought Steam did this on purpose, where they have a lot of sellable small items, like DLC, or maybe it's just like clothing you can buy.
Right.
And Monster Hunter has, you know, actually dozens or maybe hundreds of these. So they show up as individual things you could buy. And it's so overwhelming that what I end up doing is I look for the bundles. So you will have like a, you know, maybe a season pack or a bundle that like includes everything, so that, you know, like I'm not missing out on stuff because it's kind of all in there. But with that, of course, you're getting a bunch of stuff you don't want or need, right? Because you're not going to buy the specific thing. So in a way, you're almost like paying for convenience, I guess. But that's how they're getting you sometimes. They just say, well, do you want to avoid the trouble of looking through all the inventory and selecting the good shit? Here's this bundle. And inevitably, you end up paying more than you would.
Not only that, but there's friction function, which is purposeful friction so that when somebody gets past a certain point, they decide, I'm already here. I might as well. And that's another one. And the algorithm can figure out, it's already doing shit for YouTube commercials where it figures out how many commercials a watcher will stand. We'll use the word stand. Hey, I think commercials are fine. If I'm getting something for free and they want to play a commercial at the starting, fine. You play 3 or 4 during something that's 30 minutes long, I'm going to throw a conniption fit where I'm going to lose my shit. I'm going to be completely mad. But the friction point of purposely adding a tiny bit of friction so a person who's purchasing something says, I'm already here. I've already got my Amazon loaded up. I might as well just get this other thing that popped up. You know, it'll come at the same day.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, the other one is will be delivered. Oh, my God. So this is intelligent information with a psychological point that sucks. You'll be buying games on Amazon and you've got a game in your cart, but maybe you're going to go and buy some fucking, I don't know, cutlery. You'll get that little thing at the bottom that says will also be delivered on the same day. And it's other games and shit. And you're like, oh, man. Dude, if you're like even a gambling, it's not gambling, but there's something, it's like an instant win. Oh, this will show up right away. That's almost free. And you're like, no, it's not almost free. But dude, you can't tell
there's
me
something there.
They're like,
it's convenient.
They're getting that wiggle point in. Yeah, it's convenient.
Yeah.
Oregon Fresh says Stellaris. I think it's like 700 bones for all the content. Yeah, you know what's funny though? And
wow.
You know, man, this is where personal bias comes into it. You see a game like Stellaris, which I absolutely love, and most, not all, most of their DLC is substantial. I think we can collect and look at the price if you bought it all, but why would you buy it all? And I think that's where we get into the conversation of, oh my God, Train Simulator is $7,000 if you buy all the DLC. Correct? If you buy all the DLC. But that's the collector person who needs to do that. You don't need
to buy one
all of
person.
Right. And maybe even a collector may not want a certain train. If you talk to collectors, there's trains that they don't like the design of or the whatever. It's pre this or it's post this year. And they're like, I don't like modern trains. I want just so it's a funny point that it's 700, but I don't necessarily know if I blame anybody because I don't know if they, Paradox has a lot of DLC though. And some of their games, I think most of them are great. And then sometimes you're like, it's pretty arbitrary. So that's a difficult discussion. That's a good point. But I think Stellaris's content most of the time, I mean, dude, look at Age of Wonders 4 already, which Johnny's playing. Wonder Age, or whatever. What'd you call it? Wonder Age or whatever. Age of Wonders 4 has
Wonder Age.
It's already probably got $300 of DLC, and Age of Wonders is one of the most fantastic games of all time. Guybrush says the Hunter Call of the Wild, amazing immersive hunting game, but their DLC monetary scheme turned me off. Did it? I was just telling somebody yesterday I felt that was one of the best monetary designs I'd ever seen, because usually, you might mean like the guns. I'm just buying, for the most part, I'm buying the giant lands, the hunting parties. So
you can buy in-game items and stuff.
Well, there's there was tents and a dog and stuff like that. But I do consider those, the dogs I don't like so much. I love having a dog in the game, but they're too powerful. There's a bloodhound in that game, and I know that it can be hard to find an animal in Hunter, but the bloodhound is I found it, which is true. I mean, if you had a bloodhound with you, they're going to find whatever it is that you shot. I mean, their skill and ability is ridiculous. It is a cheat code. It is a cheat code.
Huh. So I need one of those because I couldn't find a damn deer for the life of me.
Yeah.
Reg and I just running around. Probably that was the problem, actually. We were running.
It is. If you were running, it for sure is, because you can quite literally, there's telemetry data that you can see that shows you just pushing animals away from you. You won't see shit.
Like a bubble around you.
You won't see shit at all. It'll completely disappear. You'll be without the ability to even see any animals at all. I mean, dude, Spetsu, man, that guy just mowing down animals, and Takedown are like, please stop, man. You would be, we were miles away from him, just bang, 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 bang. One guy, one fucking dude. It was awesome though. I love playing with him. It was just different. And then another time I saw him creep up on an elk, and I'm pretty sure it was 2 hours. I kept watching him. I'd look away. Maybe that was It might have been Jensen. It was one of those two. That guy took at least an hour to sneak up on a single elk, and then ended up not hitting it.
He was just glassing.
Yeah.
He was elk.
Slowly. He was hatchcocking that thing.
Wow.
Man. Yeah. Brother-in-law has a fur bearer's license and uses dogs to hunt big cats. These dogs are absolutely freaking amazing. Yeah. Yeah, they're awesome. What else do we got for game news? Let's talk about that was game news, but let's
did you see Microsoft applied for a patent?
No.
For the AI game helpers thing they had going on?
So they did it, and Sony both patented that, because Sony patented theirs too. Okay, gotcha.
Oh yeah. And they already had something, didn't they? Didn't they have a co-pilot thing? They were trialing.
Yeah, Game Bar had a little thing. Yeah. I actually, so weirdly enough, ignoring the how they were trained and stuff, I'm just talking about that as an item. I have no real issue with that. I won't experience it for the most part, because as a reviewer, I can tell you right now, in some games I've been reviewing, there's nothing. So, and then sometimes the developer tries to reach out and help. But with newcomers jumping into a game, if you can turn it off and say, hey, I don't want it, that's great. But I have been in our Discord now for 10 years, and every fucking day I get the same shit. Somebody tries to use the Discord like Google. And I don't know why. Why would you ever go to a Discord to type in the question that you could type into Google to get the right answer versus maybe 600, 800 people in a Discord? I don't know why they do it. So they'll go to our Discord and they'll be like, yeah, so I got the ring of Botswana and I put it on, but it doesn't appear to be doing the 2.5 extra damage. No question mark. And you're like, are they are they talking? Are they asking a question? So then they'll be, or does anybody know blah, 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 blah? And I'll be like, Google knows? Google knows? What the fuck? So if that could help, and we get it in our verbal Discord all the time. Hey, I'm having an issue with a blue screen, kernel error number 675999959KX6. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, do you expect us to know that number? Why are you just piping it out here? Have you checked Google first? So if you could have this game watcher that stops those kind of questions, I think that's awesome. If you could ask it, if you could, and then, dude, maybe it, in the future, it might be able to align a game or some hints about how to play the game that might be more beneficial to a player who's missed a tutorial. Because, I mean, how many times you go into the game and it's like, do you want to you want to fucking reset your tutorial? And you're like, why is it asking me? No lie. I've been 10 hours into a game and it'll randomly go, do you want to reset your tutorials? And I'll be like, did I fuck something up?
Or they don't even ask. I mean, Neo is still telling me how to activate my ninjutsu. Yeah. And I'm like, bro.
So if you can do that, obviously Google's where you want to go. But if you want something that's like sort of with you and you're playing a game, I have no issue with that, man. I think that it's going to put game guides. Game guides have really dropped off just because, people are playing these games right away. YouTubers are doing guides or their versions of walkthroughs. So I think that makes them sort of, it hits them in the monies, which does slightly suck. But I have no issue with that, at least from what I've heard, what they're doing. I just ask random people on the street about Windows stop codes. Yeah, dude, it's so crazy. To be fair, Google AI results we're not talking about the AI results. Otherwise, you would literally, the entire thing was not talking about the AI results. Yeah.
Literally.
Literally not that. Yeah.
But they mentioned AI generated ghost players. So it would almost be like that avatar that would, maybe show you how to get to, like how to get through a tough section. Could be a puzzle, right? Could be like a platforming thing where it kind of gives you a hint.
I mean, dude, yeah. Who knows? It could be a heat map where they just put the animations in there, but they've tracked other people and how they play a certain area. I don't know. I don't think I want a ghost in my area because I just follow the ghost everywhere. I mean, even I would be susceptible to that. I would rather have it just, in a nice voice or nice text to be like, do you need help at this moment?
It would have to be like easy to turn on and off. If you really need it, you can kind of turn it on. Yeah. See, just like, what am I missing? Like I've been stuck for 30 minutes and then turn it off instantly.
Yeah. And then Eternal's saying the same thing that I mentioned, which is it could be people who like the community aspect of talking to people. Yeah. Where they get confused about a question versus like a comment. Hey, I'm having a problem with this gun. Maybe means let's talk about guns. But you don't want to reward that because then you're going to be stuck in this quagmire of just random shit being plopped down where nobody can tell when they need to. Because a lot of times, there is a very real thing about putting the onus on somebody else. I've had it done to me in particular recently where somebody was really mad at me for not answering them in general chat. Pissed. I know they're pissed. And I had somebody else come to me and they were like, this person's pissed you didn't answer. And I was like, you mean, but I literally stated I was going to the movie in the general. Well, they didn't see that because they don't scroll up. And it's not Nor, by the way. I don't want anybody thinking I'm teasing Nor.
Classic.
And then I guess they entered voice chat and I wasn't talking. So they're like, okay, he's usually always talking. He's usually it's for sure about me. I'm leaving. And I think that can be difficult if you do have quick responders normally there. When they don't respond, I've seen people also say, I guess I killed chat. Yeah, sorry for the question. I guess I killed chat. I'll go somewhere else. And you're like, oh my God, dude, I'm in the middle of like a sim racing game or whatever. Can you wait?
Like someone's taking a crap. Yeah. Like, sorry, bro.
So you have the difficulty there. But so all things being said, I think that could help. Discord will probably do some stuff. We'll have to see how that goes. OBS, I'm sure people have already piped OBS and AI together. I think those kind of things are a good use of it because you can turn it off, like you said, if you want. I think everything should be able to be turned off, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Like pretty much everything.
That's the key thing.
Yeah, like automatic updates in NVIDIA drivers or AMD drivers. Turn them off. Turn them off. If you're smart, find a driver that works for you and do not change that bitch unless, like, hell or high water, I probably won't turn. On the testing machine, I do use the new ones, but on my own machine, man, they're old. Because if once it works, I'm like, I ain't fucking reinstalling that.
Nowadays, you're rolling the dice, man.
Oh, dude, and the dice are just all ones, but one side has a win. So it's like 5 to 1 or 6 to 1. Yeah, you're just like the crappiest dice ever when it comes to driver updates. And I get it. There's a lot of difficulty because you have a lot of shit fighting for driver resources, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it can be a hassle. Speaking of a hassle, how's the PC and everything been for you? You got your 50 series, you got all your stuff. Have you been having any PC issues, or has everything been smooth as butter?
Honestly, it's been great. A couple years ago, I did a new build with the 5080, and I have one of these AIO coolers that doesn't require maintenance and stuff. I haven't had to reseat it or any problems like that. The filters work great on the case, so there isn't like a lot of dust coming in, and I haven't cleaned it in a year. So honestly, I've been lucky with this one, man. I had a lot of issues with the prior PCs I had, but going to a single PC setup with this new build has been amazing.
Yeah, single PC
compared
is
to
the way
like
to
the
go.
old 2PC thing.
I mean, my biggest issue we had for the longest time was a bit of stutter in the stream. And one day I realized, oh, I've got PCs that have like 85 cores. Why don't I just go back to doing CPU encoding on one side, use the GeForce and the 4090 on the other side, 4080, 4090, whatever. And it works. It works insanely well. But splitting PCs has always been highly, it's always seems like something is ready to go wrong. Just like dual streaming, one of the reasons why we don't stream to other places, because I'm just like, I got to be solid where we are. Be like, okay, we're good now. But by doubling that, you're doubling the encoding weight. And, you know, now you're back to possibly something getting stuttery or going wrong. So that's the last one I had. Lately, with PC, man, I found an app that is awesome. So if anybody likes PC apps, P apps sounds definitely like something you download from the darknet. This is a PC app, and it's called I believe it's called App. So listen to this. This thing is amazing. You know, I like fences and some of the efficiencies. Apps wheel. And what this does is, anywhere where your mouse is, a shortcut brings up an apps wheel, and you can spindle as many apps as you want around it. So it's basically a radial launcher for Windows. Sits in the background. You can have it be pressable by the mouse, or you can have it come up with a short key. I have mine as a short key. You can add special commands for the apps that you launch. What I did was I spent about an hour, and I took all the AI programs I run and the front ends. I put that on one. I put all the browsers on another one. I put games on another one. And so it's just one shortcut to see all the games in this little tiny like window on your screen. Dude, it's pretty sweet, man. Wow. It's pretty sweet. And one day we were talking about radials in games with typing, because sometimes you'll get the spiral radial for the alphabet in some things. And then Baldur's Gate's got the radial for spells. And I was like, yeah, I'm sure Windows, somebody's got to have that. And went and looked, and boom, there it was. Downloaded it, installed it. And within 5 minutes, I was like, oh my God. So now I can have the taskbar hidden as long as that's running. Like, because you know me, I was talking about walks and those other ones. Those are great too. They do somewhat the same thing. But this requires no typing. As long as you know the icons of what you're launching, which I have 120 icons. And I think I know every single thing I'm launching. Dude, my taskbar is 4. My taskbar is 4 taskbars at 4K. So it's like that. And it's...
Whoa.
Yeah.
Dude.
I have a lot of shit. And I use all of it, by the way. I will sit there and go, I got to be able to delete one of these. And then I'll be like, Affinity's got 3 because it's the Affinity suite. And you can go into the pseudo suite in Affinity, but it's not as full featured as going into the full one. So I was like, got to leave those. Different terminals, stuff like that. Yeah. So pretty cool stuff, though, to be able to have. There's been all kinds of efficiencies. Look at the Xbox, man. Wouldn't it be cool if the Xbox had that? A button on the Xbox that brought up, like, you hit a button and it says, here's the games you have. Do you just want to switch to the game right away? Yeah. Instead of going to any menu, you just a button.
Maybe a wheel with your games or something.
And you could switch wheels from installed, last played, favorites, or whatever. I mean, that kind of stuff might be the way things should work. I don't know. It could be completely confusing to people, but I feel like there's something there.
Or it could be D-pad related, but like just something native to the controller, you know?
Yeah.
That makes sense instead of
because PlayStation has one button that's just for photos. It's like, take that photo one away and let it be like launch favorite apps So you could Crunchyroll might be on there. A couple games might be on there. I don't know what else is on PlayStation, but those two things. But
yeah,
you know, you could do both. That kind of stuff is awesome, man. Let's see. Shroud was saying the time to kill in Marathon is very short. Probably contributes to the hardcoreness.
Yeah, I heard that too.
That the time to kill was short in Marathon?
Yeah. So you die instant, kind of.
Yeah. I mean, but the only people that would... I'm seeing people say that that's why maybe it's not doing well, not in here, in the other chat. I don't see how that's possible because the person would have to buy it to know that.
First, yeah.
Not everybody. Some will watch a streamer, but I think day one, you can say for the most part, people weren't talking about the time to kill unless it was a server, you know? So like, I don't know. It feels like a lot of people are trying to find reasons. And it's like, dude, I don't know if there's a reason, man. It just isn't hitting, you know? It's like, this might be one where triage is impossible because the body's been blown apart by a tank shell. And it's just too hard to triage exactly what killed them first. Hopefully they don't die. Let's see. You can press the middle button and do that, but you do need to scroll once or twice. Norb, I don't know what he's talking about. Norb says, I use voice input all the time to search my games on PlayStation. Yeah, voice input's delicious, man. I love voice. And if they ever figure out Toby's eye tracker, where you can just look, be like, open up your menu, look at a game, click a button, boom. You could get shit quick.
That was the main thing I thought about when you were talking about the neuro connector. If you had the ability to, with your mind, decide to interact with like a specific thing on screen, for example.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. But I wouldn't want to play a game where I have to be issuing action commands. Like if I'm playing Neo 3, I don't want to have to like think about,
right,
you know, backstep, heavy,
no,
light. Because you couldn't play. You would be way too slow if you had to like sequence that. You know, it has to become muscle memory.
Especially if you haven't learned speed reading or whatever, you most likely the voice in your head is about the same speed as you talk. So yeah, that could be difficult. You'd be like, backstep, I'm dead. You know, there would be brain lag there. Let's see. Somebody said, Carrick, I started binging The Pit, and it's really great. Thanks for mentioning it. Yeah, dude, The Pit's amazing, man. We got last couple episodes we watched. We also finished up the last episode of Paradise. The Peas. Paradise has been really good. Paradise has been like
it's great,
stunningly courageous, and I'm using that word, in changing shit up. It does not seem to have any fear of making you go, It's like you will.
They took a big chance with season 2 because it's
that's what I'm
completely
talking about.
different.
Yeah, it's a different thought process completely, and I love it. You're just like, whoa, what now? You know, and I've liked every episode. It's great to find a show you like, even if I don't like a show that you like. There's something awesome about having that time where you can sit down and watch something and you're just like vibing with it. You're like, yeah, this is great. Let's see. Oh, and I started and binged up to the current episodes of Paradise, and I'm loving it. It pulled me in hard. Yeah, that one's
hell yeah.
Yeah, it's great, dude. It's so nice, man. It's so nice to see these. I'm a freak for supernatural shit, though, or weird shit, I guess you would say. Maybe not supernatural. Any of the, anything like Paradise, I'm into for some reason. I just dig the shit out of those. Let's see. Is that on HBO? Yeah, I don't know where all those are, to be honest, man. I just buy a subscription for the show and then forget to unsubscribe.
Yeah, Paradise is Hulu or Disney
It's Hulu.
Plus.
Yeah, it's Hulu. Yeah, it's Hulu because those fucking commercials.
Whatever.
Fucking commercials on Hulu.
Oh, really? We don't have them with Disney Plus.
Yeah. So I was watching on Hulu last night, and maybe I didn't get any during it this time. But Hulu in the past has been notorious for saying you're on the no ads plan or whatever. You're at the highest plan.
Fair.
And you'll still get ads. And I swear to God.
Oh, wait. On the no ads plan?
Yeah. We were getting, And they were like, oh, there's a glitch, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, is there? Is there?
Is there, though?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll have to see. What else has been going on, man? Anything cool?
I was looking into this. Did you see that Koei Tecmo put together a LLM that is going to be tasked with like creating characters and stuff? So these guys worked on games like Hyrule Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that, Fire Emblem, some of these games. I thought really interesting, like an LLM designed with the purpose of creating and developing characters. Apparently, it's something called Spiral AI. No, sorry. It's called Geppetto 2, the model.
Huh. Yeah, I haven't heard of that. Dude, you can train them now so easy, though. Well, they can get costly. But I mean much easier. You can train them. So I can see companies trying to do that. I wouldn't want one. I mean, I don't know. Do their games have characters we cared about in the past? Because maybe, I guess if you're just fleshing it out, it's not going to be a thing, right? I mean, if you're doing like Dynasty Warriors, I don't know what you need to create with an AI though. Like, I don't know. I'll have to read up on it. Because a lot of times those companies, you'll start reading up on it. You'll find out it's really not for the thing that you thought it was. I used to get 2 ads on YouTube in one. Now I'm getting 3, one after the other now. Ugh.
Wow.
That's a shitter. Yeah. There it happens, man. It's like one of those things that definitely occurs. Oh, dude, I was super excited. Life is Strange TV show, Amazon Prime.
Oh, yeah. And they casted 2 people already, right? For the roles?
Yep. Cannot wait, man. Cannot wait. Super excited for that. I mean, obviously, I think there'll be stuff that's different and people get mad about it and be like, oh, it's not the same 2 characters. Totally get it. But
do we know if it's the original story or like a new thing?
I believe it is 100% the original story, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude.
Isn't that cool?
That would make for a great show.
Dude, the more shows we get based on games, even if you don't like said game, is good because it just means now that overlap is easier to come by. I mean, look at, like we talked about last week, Kingdom Come Deliverance. The producer of that is gone. He's like, well, I mean, he
probably
works
wouldn't have happened.
but he's gone to work on games. Yeah,
a couple years ago. Maybe.
It probably wouldn't have happened a couple years ago. And now the idea that you can translate those, I don't know. Do you think Kingdom Come? Would you want a story about Henry? Like, do you want? I think it has to be about him because his story is it is all of Kingdom Come to me. Like, I don't think I want, it's not like Fallout where it can be random people. I don't think I want a Kingdom Come game, TV show that isn't about him.
That's fair. A lot of the charm of the game is Henry being put in these like awkward situations and like the funny quests and all this weird shit in his journey of like learning stuff. And it's hard to think about a plot for a show because it has to be so succinct compared to a game where you have the sprawling, 40-hour campaign.
Yeah. Oh, somebody else mentioned Yotai Legends is going to be so much fun. That's coming out soon.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll have to see how that is. I mean, free DLC. I think that game is awesome. I think their idea, the Legends DLC, works well. They did a good job with the first game. I think that'll be awesome, like totally awesome. The idea of jumping in there, free DLC is always a good one. Who's here for this fucking TV shit? Most of the people who watch. That's quite literally what we do at the end of the podcast. Thanks for joining for the first fucking time. But anyway, we need Hungry Henry, Hungry Bob, or just, oh yeah, we do. Sons of Sparta came and went. Ooh, Sons of Sparta, was that a game?
Oh yeah, that was the like
side
scroller
the
one.
Side scrolling one. It did come and go, man. It did big time. I don't think people. I mean, it looked a certain way. It was. I don't think that one really caught the attention of people as much as a remake and all that kind of stuff. Like that was a weird title to show. I mean, it looked old. It looked old and rough. Did anyone play that? Did anybody play Sons of Sparta? And if you did and you liked it, what did you like about it? That sounded more sarcastic than I meant it to be. I meant like, I can't not do it. And what did you like about it?
There you go. Yeah.
Took me a while to hide that.
If anything.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah, if anybody played it, I'd like to know what you liked about it, if anything. Honestly, PlayStation 5 users don't buy Pixel games compared to Steam users. Oh yeah, that's probably true. There's probably definitely a split, a split demographic you could find.
Yeah.
I just don't know how a 2D game. I mean, 2D games are great, but it's really weird to go from a 3D to a 2D game and one that looks old and be like, yeah, look at that. I mean, maybe pixel art's where some of these companies think they can make a quick bang. I mean, it's very hard to argue against it because Prince of Persia did so well. I mean, Prince of Persia,
yeah.
That's been obviously it was a 2D game back in the day, but became 3D. People seem to really like it. They've got a soft spot in their heart for it. Brought back the 2D stuff, and it worked quite well. I mean, Assassin's Creed 3Ds weren't great, or 2Ds weren't great either. There was one that was pretty good, and the rest were not very good at all.
Yeah, I think side-scrollers in general are a bit more niche compared to other 2D games. You can have a lot of JRPGs that do quite well with the isometric style.
We need a 4D game. We've already got one. It's called Blink's Time Sweeper, baby. 4D. You go around. You actually switch time. Time doesn't matter. You're jumping into the fourth dimension. It's pretty fucking sweet, man. Did you ever do time? Or did you ever do Blinks? That's probably before your time. Double pun.
Interesting.
Yeah,
is it kind of like... No. I was trying to think of an example. Like Braid did some weird stuff with time, but it wasn't
that kind of game but then here, like if you destroy a bridge, you run across a bridge, you can rebuild the bridge, that kind of stuff. Or the other way around. You can build it, run across it, destroy it, and then switch it from being, built and not built. There's been another one, Quantum Break, did some good stuff with time too. I love in games, one of my favorite powers. What's your favorite power in a game? Because one of mine is freezing people, because I love to run around and see them frozen.
Oh,
it's fun. Yeah. And I don't mean freeze, cold. I mean like time freeze. And especially games now with their graphics, and you see like glass shattered and the dude's like, can't move. I love that shit. What's your favorite power in games?
Yeah, that's a really good one. I think in general, electricity is what I like most, because I really enjoy those. And then usually there is some type of paralysis with that as well, where they kind of, did like stagger maybe, or they freeze up temporarily. So usually electricity is
okay. So do you feel the developer has done their job, or have they failed you as a gamer deep down in your heart when electricity doesn't set off something that's explosive or on fire? Because I do. So if I use lightning and something that's flammable doesn't burn, or something that is explosive doesn't explode, I actually am like, oh, missed opportunity. I don't get mad, but I'm like, damn. Because come on.
I can see that actually.
Multiple things. I mean, it burns trees down. It starts fires everywhere, and many people would just have it. The only time you can get shocked by it is when water's nearby, and you're like, dude, that's not how it works. But
and this barrel like right next to the guy doesn't blow up.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Dude, I wonder if there's like one guy just placing all the red barrels in games. It'd be cool to do a skit video on that guy.
His teammates, by the way.
His teammates, and in the most inopportune places where you're just like, okay, there's this gate.
He's like, okay, we got 3 guys here. Let's make sure.
Luckily, there's this red barrel here. Or the guy who makes sure that certain things are bent just in a way that your grapple can get you over something. You're like, dude, if I was a security guard, I'd see that damage and go, we need to fix that shit because there's ninjas using that. Like, this all needs to be unclimbable, guys. Like, they should have a guy whose job is to run around and look at the architecture and be like, come on, guys. Like, look at this. Ninja's going to get right up there, man. Joey lost his life just last week to some dude who came in and garroted him. That's how they got in, I bet. Let's fix that.
And can we question why we need all this flammable material? What are we doing? Why do we need 6 barrels of this thing?
I worked at a manufacturing company, and they didn't have... And by the way, none of that shit was even there, but also when you get in a lot of games, it'll be in places where you'll be like, you're fighting for gas. And there's a gas barrel there that you blow up. You blow up a 55-gallon drum of usable material to get the little shaky fucking, metal 2.5-gallon thing of gas. And you're like, dude, what are we doing? Everybody stop. Quit blowing that shit up, man. We need that for later. That'd be cool if a game tracked that. If you could, if you had some kind of way to get into those barrels, but they also helped you destroy. That'd be a cool tit for tat for resources where you go in, there's really a badass, but you needed that gas. And you were like, okay, I got to figure out, are we going to blow this canister up to get through the boss easier? Or are we going to, go and steal the gas? But it happens a lot of times.
What do you think about these kind of organic cues that are given to the player? So you have the red barrels, right, that tell you, hey, explosive barrel.
Yeah.
Or you have the bird poop for the climbable stuff, or the yellow paint.
I think you got to do it.
For example,
go ahead.
Yeah. No, is that evolving? Did Resident Evil 9 do something different for the bird poop, for example? Is there something there?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of places where you can see where you need to go. There'll be a lot of places where you just know you can't go anywhere but that place. Yeah, for sure. And Resident Evil has one issue with Resident Evil that you and I aren't going to be have an issue with, but it happens a lot. If you need a key for a door, that key is going to be in a skyscraper a mile away on the top floor after a boss.
Oh, yeah. Don't expect it nearby or conveniently.
Then that key will also not open the entire area. You will use that key to get to another area where then you will need to do it. Yeah, that's just Resident Evil. But no, there's still a lot of cues.
Several degrees off.
Yeah, several degrees. Yeah, there's several times where it's pretty noticeable. I mean, that,
they that's their design, right? They like it convoluted for you to piece stuff
I think the pigeon poop and all that kind of stuff absolutely going to have to be a thing. QA testers have pointed out that they've tried many games without it, and it's been a disaster because of the way it's a 3D world on a 2D screen, and it just doesn't impart the amount of data you really need. I think there's ways to fix some stuff. You don't have to have the entire thing. Some games, look at Division. They love to put a yellow, a little bit of a tarp hanging off of something. Oh, I can climb that, right? That kind of stuff. And then they can get away with a lot of it not being climbable because they do the smart thing. If it's waist high or lower, there's almost nothing in that game you can't climb over. So it's pretty easy to parse. This low, I can climb over. High, and it's got yellow.
I like that consistency.
Yeah, that's pretty
That's consistent. What pisses me off sometimes, where you have this amazing jump, but then suddenly you can't jump a ledge, like a small obstacle.
Yeah. Dude, and that happens way more than people want to admit. I feel like that kind of situation definitely occurs where you're trying to figure out where to go and you see something that you're like, I can for sure climb over this. And for whatever reason, the game's like they forgot or something,
And I know it's painful, by the way. I was testing stuff out in Unreal Engine 5. It takes a lot of work to get the surfaces correctly so that you can jump over stuff, but not just slide off or bump into things.
Yeah.
But still, I want it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think at this point I'm pretty okay with it. I haven't really seen too many games do zero cues well, because inherently a company or a game will say it's zero cues, but you'll notice the architecture V's. So the V is a focus. So I probably shouldn't even say this because it'll ruin it, but for people, but if you see a lot of times when you go into areas, it's V is a focus. So, you go in architecturally, they'll V is a focus, what have you, they'll sort of align it so you can figure out I need to go over there. Yeah. You see
or maybe a light. I
maybe a
noticed
light.
at times there's
Yeah.
like a light
Yeah.
spotlight.
And it's also why notoriously, I don't know what the name is for this, but you get what I like to call basically a pixel island, which is if there's a marsh and one goes left and one goes right, inevitably many of those will meet up right at the other side. And it's just to make you think that like it's branching off, but there's no branch whatsoever. It's just go to the right, go a little farther, go to the left, go a little farther.
Yeah.
Those kind of things just break up the scenery and work really well. But for the most part, also, how many unless the game tells you you're going to descend into a dungeon to kill something, almost 100% of the time, climbing will always get you to the goal. That's the other thing in those. If a game's got verticality, climbing will get you to the special stuff. Like that's just so. If you're playing Space Marine, and if you had everything off, you can't see anything, no HUD. No icons anywhere, and you're running with friends, and there was a couple splits because of a marsh area or whatever, you will literally be able to just go, okay, if you guys see something going up, we know that's where you need to go. And in fact, some companies won't put dead ends at a climb because it sort of feels like you got shortchanged. It's like ascending is how to get to this thing. Or if it's a puzzle game, they will, and you know you have to go around or figure out a way to get up to that thing. But yeah, you're still figuring out a way to get up to that thing. It's just a human. I mean, it's just like climbing to safety. You see people climb away from bears all the time, and the bear will just climb up and be like, "Thanks for not running, because I can eat you easier. I can eat you from the feet up now." Because bears climb way better than people do. Shoot the glowing bulbous spots on the monster. Yeah, boy, does Resident Evil have a lot of that. Resident Evil, I just want to say you can tell that none of the creatures in Resident Evil are evolutionary, because evolution would be like the heart, probably not the best thing to put on the outside of a creature. But every monster in Resident Evil that's a boss.
Let's have it external, throbbing.
Yeah, right there, throbbing.
And like luminous.
And how did he not bump it? How did he not bump it? What if his friend comes up and tries to give him a high five, misses, hits his pec? Would it kill him? Because, dude, you'll see it's all in that game. By the way, I have no issue with the game. This is completely fine. But it is funny that in that game, Void was streaming it last night, and I was like, thank God that they're not evolved to have like a rib cage, or if they are, somehow the heart part or the most, dangerous part is right on the outside. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you just see it right there. It's like, dude, it's so funny. I don't even have an issue with it. I just find that it's funny that they have to do that, because that cues a gamer. It does cues a gamer up to understanding that. And there's nothing wrong with that.
That's part of the gamified.
It is. Yeah, their games
style. Yeah, they have.
And if you play a game without that kind of stuff, even a simpler game, man, it can take a long time. It doesn't mean it won't be better. I love no HUD, but it will take a long time to come to grips with like what you're supposed to. Tomb Raider Shadows. We talked about this. When you turn off the climbables, holy shit, you die a lot. You die a lot because they have, number one, probably made it mostly for the climbable sensor. When they turn that off, there can be some 3D issues, or you're below something. Dude, when you're below something and you look up and you see what looks like a ridge, you're going to think I can for sure climb that. I mean, that's just, you would assume. And then you try and it's like, well, that was a no-go.
Nope. And they weren't too generous with your grip. If you didn't nail it,
they weren't.
You would, you're going down for sure.
One of Crimson Desert is filled with markers.
Did you see they have this control scheme for jumping where you have to like aim specifically where you want to land with like a reticle?
Hey, man.
Maybe it works, but it looks awkward as hell.
Maybe it does. We'll see when reviews come out. I think that a company that does or did an MMO is not too surprising to see them in their brain think complexity is incredibly important, because that's what they've minutiaed everything in their own jobs with every, this attack does this attack does this. Now you got 26 attacks, but you still need all 26 combos to put it in a single player game. And as long as a person can do the game without using all those, then that'll also be fine. But they've made it pretty clear that it's a fighting game in many aspects, which means a shit ton of moves, which I think, as long as you know that going into it, you'll be fine. But yeah, though, there's probably going to be some some
learning curve.
Yeah, because I think people will go into it and, let me tell you how easy it is to stymie people then. Witcher 3 is the best example, the A button. They had to switch it because it was confusing so many people when you were putting out a light instead of picking stuff up. You'll get that. There'll be that thing where we're motor trained for a certain set of buttons doing a certain set of things. And an MMO developer looks at that and goes, well, why don't we have modifier buttons? Or why don't use the direction pad for the jump or whatever? And you're like, well, because we never have. And we'll see if it works. What I do like about Crimson
Very
Desert's
interesting
training system is you have to watch somebody do something to learn it. And I think that's pretty cool. Watch somebody fish to pick up on the idea of how to fish. Cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Monster Hunter has also tons of moves. Yeah, Monster Hunter does have a ton of moves. Monster Hunter this last one was definitely well above what it needed to be. I felt this last one was like, even with the concessions that they did for writing and all that kind of stuff.
Some quality of life,
my
for sure.
God, yeah. After a while, you're just like, holy shit, there's so many. Up, down, left, right, digital pad, switch this, hold this button, switch and you're just like, holy shit.
Yeah,
but
hold these two buttons.
Hold these two buttons, but it's of a particular style. It's of a particular game.
It is.
There's a certain way. Hey, I'm going to take a piss. I'll be right back. I'm waiting for the console performance review. Oh, yeah.
I think that came out, Ghostwire Ghoul. I'm waiting for the console performance review. You say, I'm assuming you're talking about Resident Evil. No, sorry. Not Resident Evil. Crimson Desert. Let me double check, actually. No, I think they did one for Resident Evil. You're right. Yeah, I'm waiting for that too. I know the devs said they were specifically going to give them like a full in-depth review so they could break it down so that people can like trust it instead of them making claims, which I thought was fine. I don't know if using just one channel is the way to go or just opening it up, but either way, DF does a really good job with those. I'm excited to see how it runs on PC as well, because the game looks great at times. I'm hoping it's really performant as well. From what I heard, the controls in general need work, says Eternal. Yeah, that's what I've been hearing, but I've also heard that once you get used to them, it works fine. But again, this is all from previews, so we always gotta wonder how it's gonna be like 40 hours in. Am I happy to use a reticle to point my jump? Doesn't matter if now it's second nature to me. I still think like fundamentally I should be able to intuitively jump and aim for stuff. But maybe I'll be proven wrong. I'll definitely try it.
Sorry, I also had to give my little baby
you're asking
dog
if it's the single player if it's the single player version of Black Desert? No, I wouldn't go as far as that.
Yeah,
no.
Nope, it is definitely
it's fully like it's got character story, right? Like
definitely not
random stuff you can do in the world.
From here, it looks like Carrick has been munching on his mic. Well, from here, it does too, because I can see the way I look. Yeah,
I did notice some characters looked pretty bad. Like the main guy looked great. He's got the hair and everything. And then like secondary Joe Blobs. But I guess that's pretty normal as well in these big games.
Yeah. And in fact, that just to me means it's real.
It's real, yeah.
That's until a game gets infinite draw, infinite culling, infinite pixels, infinite everything. There's always going to be a time when you're trying to make the forefront and what you see right up in your face look better and better and better and better and as cool as you can get. There's always going to be those NPCs. It reminds you of walking down the street. How many times do you know every single detail of every single person that you see on the street, but you remember what the barista looked like? In a way, games are sort of that way. I don't think it behooves us to make super detailed everybody to the point to where they become a memory, because then I think there is the possibility of becoming confused.
That's interesting.
So, yeah.
Yeah. There's this style in anime where they don't draw faces sometimes for secondary characters.
Yes,
so if
yeah,
it's
right.
a crowd, they won't have faces. And it's kind of odd when you look at it, but it makes a lot of sense because it's indicating these people are basically just crowd. You don't need to remember any of these people.
Sorry, I was watching my dog. I thought I heard him get sick.
You're getting ganked by your dogs.
No, I agree with all that. I think in all honesty, though, like day one when we saw the trailer, you could tell that it was real. There's nothing about this game whatsoever. I don't care what anybody says. I will never agree. There's nothing about the game that seems like it can't be done. What they've shown isn't really actually as over the top as people are making it. It's like, dude, whether it comes together is another thing. But we've had games for years that have allowed all kinds of this stuff. They're just doing, and this game doesn't have all the activities or things you could do in other games. There are parts that it doesn't have. That's fine. It's just, I mean, to me, it just looks like a third-person single-player action RPG, and you're running around, in the story and then doing your own shit. They didn't lie and say they had 17,000 Indians or whatever Baldur's Gate tried to pull off. They didn't lie and say that they have 500 hours. In fact, they've been pretty open about, like, when they say something is bigger than, it doesn't mean that, there's stuff to do in all those places. It's just been sort of like, here's our game. And they've shown footage all the time, which even when it was probably did not behoove them to show footage, which is their first couple trailers, which you were like, damn. I mean, I've never seen a game get a calf cramp, but that did. It just ran like dog shit. And so you see this stuff and you're like, this is the way it is.
Some of the grandiose fights they've shown definitely are something really cool that I'm excited for.
Yeah.
That we haven't seen done in this way. That's the one place I would maybe give it to people when, at least to me, I saw that and I thought, damn, okay, that's cool. It is taking elements of, say, Shadow of the Colossus, maybe.
Dragon's Dogma.
Or Dragon's Dogma. Like it's taking some of those and mixing them in different ways.
I don't have anything.
I definitely thought it looked very cool.
Yeah.
And I'm very interested in playing it.
Yeah, I mean, I think GTA, I think this, when I see it, I'm like, that's real. I haven't seen anything for GTA 6 yet that makes me think it's real. They said, oh, this is on PlayStation 5, blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. But what I mean is we need to see some gameplay, right? The one thing I can say for these guys is there's been total gameplay. It's just gameplay. So you're like, all right, so that gameplay is in there. Now we need to see if it feels good when you're doing it and how it all comes together. Typical game stuff. But what I don't like is the whole, you are not ready for this, or, this it is like, sorry. It's just a diatribe. I get mad because it's going to start, and even
the overhyping.
Yeah. Yeah. It's.
I mean, it also creates an unhealthy expectation.
That's what I mean.
Where people expect to, for it to reinvent the genre. When realistically probably won't, right?
Yeah.
It might excel. I hope it will excel in some of these areas,
or will accelerate parts of that genre, where somebody will say, okay, they tried it and it worked. But I mean, then you have to go to Tears of the Kingdom or something and say, they did a bunch of physical prop movement and shit like that. Did that accelerate any other games? We haven't seen them yet. And that did some crazy shit with physics. We don't see a lot of games throwing physics into their RPG so that you can build a box out of logs and trap enemies in it like I did. So, like, where are we with some... Dude, remember I think it was the one prior to that, Breath of the Wild, right? That's the one prior?
Yep.
Where, isn't it if it gets rainy and then electricity hits, lightning hits, if you're wearing metal armor, You get damaged more,
Yeah.
or you get whatever.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that, yeah. We saw Dragon's Dogma 1. There was the windy area where you couldn't get through a place because the wind was blowing so hard. There's these things that I've seen ideas of and been like, wow, nobody is, has done that. We haven't seen that repeated.
I think the darkness thing is pretty new. Dragon's Dogma kind of started that with the darkness. And this one has got it too, where you got your source of light, but it doesn't go very far. And it's very precious for you to even be able to move around at night. And then everything else is super dark.
I think it's going to be its own thing.
Yeah.
And that's like, there'll be people who want, and the same thing happens, you and I've talked about this. Somebody will be like, oh, I can't believe, Carrick, you do this. Why don't you do it like this other person? I'll be like, because I'm me. Why would I do that? Unless it's an efficiency that's been proven that any other Switch is a negative proposition. And even then I might still do it if I enjoy it. These guys are making a game for them, from them, to you. And it doesn't have to have, and it can have more, but it doesn't have to have the same thing every other game has. I mean, Dragon's Dogma showed that without fast travel, I'm not saying everybody liked it, but you could pull off a game that didn't have the easiest fast travel in the world.
Yeah.
I also think Dragon's Dogma did show the climbing is a massive aspect that a lot of gamers like. And I think the kind of boss fights that you get in that game, semi-bosses. What's a griffin in that game? Would we call that a boss? No, it's a semi-boss, right? Because it can spawn randomly.
Yeah.
So
like a mini boss.
Those mini bosses, I think other companies looked at that because, by the way, you can't tell me Crimson Desert, even Black Desert, didn't look at like Dragon's Dogma and go, we like some of this, because it definitely had a feel of that. But Spider-Man's in there too. You see him swinging. You see, like, there's parts where the cliff is swinging. So you're like, okay, there's a lot of game design they like, and they're throwing it in there. And he's a mercenary. He's doing fucking pile drivers too, but there's a lot of Shadow of War. Like you had mentioned earlier, I feel like there's a lot of, maybe it's the darker, grimier look of the character and the clothing. There's some Shadow of War moments that when I see like some of the movement and stuff, I'm like, oh, okay. Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War. A lot of different ideas in that game. I definitely like the mini games and how to learn a skill. Now, I don't want to watch a guy fish for 9 hours to learn that skill. So what's really going to matter is it an enjoyable experience to be discovering something and not know you are? Walk up to a guy, you're watching him do something. Let's ignore fishing for a second. He's playing fucking, I don't know, high-fiving his son or something, and you watch for a bit, and you're like, you can play, you can do this. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Especially if you get better overall, unless you become a master right away, which I don't think you do. I like that idea because a lot of us have bitched about, why does the guy sell a skill at his desk? How many fucking games have you come up to and there's a dude sitting in a chair and you buy a weaponry skill from him? And by the way, that is not like gone away. It's not as often, but you still see it. And you're like, this guy, what? What is he doing?
Yep.
He's just, I can teach you. And
so
you're like, how do you teach me that?
I just bought a class from this guy. Like,
yeah, exactly. The master class that's matrixed into my head like Neo. And then we see games trying to go away from it. And I like that as well. I also like, if you're going to dive deep into your RPG, if you have the money, then I love to see the training going on, even if it fades out, even if it shows like you sword fighting with a guy. This is why a lot of people like Kingdom Come Deliverance, with the training that you could do.
Sure.
You would, that kind of stuff felt great. It felt like there was a little bit more emphasis on it, but at the same time wasn't like, oh my God, I have to.
Yeah.
Also, I think learning was getting better anyway. Sorry, go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I think the learning is a big part of the power fantasy in the game, of you becoming this powerhouse eventually. But you start off as like a basic warrior,
Yeah. And I think maybe GTA not showing anything is helping in a way Crimson Desert, because right now it's got the sort of the lockdown on, oh my God. Right?
Yeah.
And if we can get to their release with them being the oh my God, and if it comes close to that, Well, I think it will, because you guys, you can see the videos of it. But if it holds all that together, then you are looking at a time where you're going to have 2 oh my gods in 1 year. Where I like Requiem, but I'm not like, oh my god, this is amazing. But it could be that you have 2 oh my gods, which makes 2026 be one of the better years in gaming, where you can be like, we got a GTA style, pseudo GTA style in your fantasy game, and then you got a true GTA finally. And those are just 2 games, man. And dude, there's a lot of shit coming out. And then last year you had a bunch of big ones. So I think in a way it's probably helping them, because there's really it's very difficult to look at Crimson Desert and say, oh, what about this other game? Until GTA shows up. And then I think that's when you suddenly, people will compare it to Red Dead or whatever, but it's
one interesting thing there is that it's a Korean game, right? Pearl Abyss is Korean.
Yeah.
So they have a very big player base from not just Black Desert, but in general, like, it's Korean fans, which GTA, I guess, doesn't have. I don't know. It's not good to do a comparison there head to head, but I'm just saying, I'm thinking that this game might do extremely well, similar to Wukong, where they had the kind of the Chinese folks really excited about.
Did you see their wish list?
You could have a similar thing.
Their wish list, Johnny, is at 4 million.
Is it?
Or almost 4 million. Yeah.
Wow.
So you are right, where you mean another group that that doesn't normally buy into Western games.
So it's not just us, because we're talking about it a ton, like it's a big release. But I think over there, it's maybe even bigger, than what we think.
There's a lot of pride in places that have not as much grab when they do get one that does grab. There's a lot of, and it doesn't have to be a small area. China, slightly not small. But the fact that for the longest period of time, it wasn't a thing. Now, it should be mentioned, though, the Black Myth Wukong is literary. And from one of the most popular, like War and Peace kind of popular, even though that's
so
not
that connected at a cultural level.
Dude, there were companies given days off because it was considered, and I'm sure it ramped up when they saw Western audiences were also excited. They were like, okay, this could be like our big here, it happens with, you break it down to F1. An F1 team comes out of nowhere. They start doing really well. People get really behind that many times. And a lot of people think it's fair weather fans, which is possible. But a lot of times it's also people from that town, or people who like where they're from regionally, people who, really appreciate being able to see somebody that's sort of probably nonsensically, but where they feel they have a connection to. If my hometown suddenly had a college team, I'm not saying I would follow them, but there's still that connection where you're like, God damn, man, good on you. That's cool. Just like when you meet somebody in your town, and they're like, I'm a doctor or whatever. You have a small town and that's an amazing thing. You'd be like, fuck, that's cool. From this small place, this thing. And Thailand, they've always had really good support companies. They've had their MMOs. Korea, same.
Yeah.
China,
Korea has some big ones.
Korea's
right?
got
Like
some
Lost
big ones.
Ark.
But now we're getting into where they've realized Western audiences don't appreciate that as much as their audiences, and they have to make for a combined audience. And Black Myth in particular, nailed it. And it wasn't just because Black Myth looked good.
Yeah.
Black Myth was fun to play. I genuinely enjoyed that. It's Dark Souls adjacent. There's definitely Dark Souls sections in it, but there's also something else that's in it, and they went for a more fantastical, without the grime, that Dark Souls, because of the name Dark, I swear to God, everybody who copies them has to be grimdark.
Yep.
Right? They do. They turned Pinocchio grimdark. They turned the Steel Series one grimdark. Yeah. They turned that, it's always got to be, and which fits for the most part. Black Myth was like, nah, dude, you're flying clouds. Like, you're doing crazy shit. And yeah, there's dark parts in the game, but you can also have this airy, sun-dappled outside that is just as impactful as the dungeon you have seen 6,000 fucking times. Because how many Dark Souls / adjacent games do you play where you just see that cave opening and you're like, yeah, I'm going to be in there for a while.
Here we go.
Here we go. What I like
here we go again.
is the one that switches it up, where you go into the prairie and you're like, oh my God. For example, Sekiro with the general boss, when he shows up on a horse in the middle of like a large area, and it's not that typical contained, which Neo has a problem with. Neo 3 has a very distinct problem with a lot of its bosses. 4 pillars, room, fight the guy. Small room, fight the guy. A tent that's impervious to any damage, fight the guy. And you're just like, oh my God, all the time.
God, the tents, dude.
Yeah. So
I got to take a short toilet break.
Go ahead.
I'll still listen to you, but I'll be right back.
All right. It's in the folklore, isn't it? You bet it is. It's one of the biggest ones. It would be like America taking the folklore of like Native American stuff and putting a game there. I think you would get a lot of support for that. That'd be a cool idea. Or you also get like Civil War, where a lot of people dive into that history. But yeah, I think it's cool when you get these nations. I don't like some of their monetary decisions because their games have been hedged towards that longer than Western societies. I don't like them bringing that in. But let's see. Liza P, the best Souls-like ever played. Interesting. Okay. Sekiro was epic. That was my first Souls-type game. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, dude, when the guy shows up, man, the thing that people forget, especially when you're playing games like Dark Souls and stuff, they have a tendency to be muted in their coloring unless they want to show something that's of import. They have a grimdark style, which I adore, but it can get a little cloying, a little tiring. But what I like is the idea that in some of these games, it doesn't even have to be every boss, but I think Sekiro in particular and Black Myth did a good job sometimes giving you a little bit of a switch up to where you were thinking it was going to be another guy in a tower or it was going to be something else. And instead, it was this wide open area, which also makes it feel fairer. Because a lot of Dark Souls games don't feel necessarily fair. It's like this enemy's at this very specific part doing this very specific thing. Black Myth had this issue as well with the archers. But then when you go in and you fight a boss in this wide open area and you know it's mono, there's no ceiling, which can feel closed off. It's just an open sky. And you're fighting, and it can just feel good. There's a horseman enemy in Neo that tries to do, I would say, comes pretty close to the same thing that happens in Sekiro, but doesn't really have... It's still a bigger area, but you can still bump into stuff. And the battle against that general in Sekiro is just awesome. It's one of the best experiences in games I've had in years, where I sat there and when it happened, I was like, oh my God. Because Dark Souls games love their quiet too. Everything's about that somber. Everything's lowered down. Even their tense music, if you notice, isn't the tenseness and the style of music you get in other games, where there's a vibe to it. A lot of times, the Dark Souls games are about the creepy ambiance and using the sound of dripping water, creaking boards, whatever. And so it's quieter. And when you go in and fight that general and he screams, there was something about him like making, it's going to sound weird, but I swear to God, I felt like he made the first sound in the game, because everything else had been muted on purpose. I mean, you hear your swords clanging off of stuff, but there was just something about him announcing himself. He wasn't the ambush skeleton hiding behind a doorway that somehow can shoot you or hit you, but you can't hit it. And instead, it was a guy saying, fuck you, I'm right here. Let's battle. And it was loud, and it was such just a fantastic display of how to switch it up to players and offer something that is different than even most of the game allowed. I would say a lot of that game. Yeah. I'd like to see countries who don't often make games about their indigenous people. Yeah, Canada, Australia, there's all kinds of places. India, I would love... Oh, he muted for a second. India would be great. I would love to see more stuff. We saw the Azure's Wrath, which was India, I believe. Right? Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I would love to see those kind of games come out. But again, I don't want to see them become popular for the sake of anything else. If they, that kind of stuff is great, but if they become popular and we start seeing their monetizations filter in, that does bother me because we have issues with monetization already. And so the idea of getting more monetization issues, which can be pretty egregious in those games. I mean, for example, one of the best games I've played that's free to play in my life, and I can't believe how they did the monetizations because they're not bad, is Where Winds Meet. I was playing Where Winds Meet, and I realized I was about 109 hours in, and I haven't bought anything. So I threw them, I think I bought a $20 pack of these pearls, which do something. It's been a while since I played that game, but I was like, if there's monetization, that's, sort of the way I would want it to be. I'm not going to win on that because I also don't like gacha games. And a lot of people think gacha games are completely fine. I think they're, I think that they're just the same kind. They're just a hidden form of the same kind of monetization that people fought for. But because they changed the name and the format a little bit, everybody sucked it up. And it was like, oh, no, it's totally fine. It just pisses me off. Let's see. You back now?
I am back.
How does one join Discord? Join the Patreon. I think I have a link. Give me a second. So somebody in here said Liza P was their favorite Dark Souls adjacent game. What's your favorite Dark Souls adjacent game, and why is it not Liza P?
Yeah, no, it's not. I like it a lot. Adjacent, so we're not counting like Elden Ring and stuff, right?
No, you can count Elden Ring. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Then it would be Elden Ring for sure. If
Gotcha.
we're talking outside of like FromSoft, I think probably Surge still to this day. Surge 2.
Dude, thank you,
great.
man. You and I need to, when we meet up, someday we'll meet up. We'll need to fist bump over the Surge love because
hell yeah.
Fuck,
yeah.
Dude. For all the inconsistencies that game has, number one, number two.
Yeah, it wasn't perfect.
It wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
But tearing somebody's arm off so you can build an upgrade with it and trucking it back home
just makes sense, right?
It just makes sense. It just makes sense. It
'Cause
was like
you need the
Elysium,
parts.
the game. Oh,
yeah.
dude. And the drone, having the drone there and having active control of the pressing of the firing. So now you've got this like auto bowman with you and hitting somebody with a girder from a building, basically, with the big staff weapon. And you pick that thing up and you just be like, motherfucker. It was so good. And I think one got trapped in the Warhammer style. So it was like closed off and there was a lot of ambush enemies. And then you play 2 and it's more open and you see that big city in front. Oh, dude, so good.
Yeah.
I would say Surge 2 is
and
my
horizontal
favorite.
and vertical.
Horizontal and vertical
was a
great.
Good spin instead of light heavy.
Absolutely. Because it also it almost makes more sense. When I say light and heavy, they both can be the same punch when you think about it. I could lightly jab you or heavy jab you, right? But horizontal, vertical in your brain does make more sense. That if a guy's up here swinging down, you
different
horizontal.
utility.
Yeah. It just it fucking feels so good, man. Except for that piece of shit boss. Everything else was fine. But that fucking the guy in the spider bot, the guy in spider bot. Do you remember? He's in that bot, and you and I were
with the tentacles.
Yeah, and you have to fight him because you and I both bitched about that guy because he's he's before the DLC unlocks, so you have to get through him.
Yes,
and neither one of us felt that he was like. I guess it's been a while since we played, but I know you and I agreed the fuck on. I can even look it up in our database now because I've got a database for every podcast. But you and I were both in full agreement that guy was a POS compared to most of the other bosses. Were like,
yeah, no, I agree.
No, you don't need to play Surge 1 first. Surge 2 is pretty much just the same world, but different character and all that. It's so great. Visceral. It's so gross. It's so over the top sometimes, and it is like Elysium, the movie. It's got that very cyborgish things on people versus like Oblivion with Tom Cruise, which is like very smooth, almost utopian items in a dystopian world. And Elysium / Surge is dystopian. It's like everything looks dystopian and you're in a dystopian world. They're both together.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's a bit body horror.
That Surge 2 spider boss is called Johnny, by the way. That is true.
It is actually.
It is Johnny. It is Johnny.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Surge
funny.
3, Necro says he's interested in, even though it hasn't been announced. I'd kill for a Surge 3. I think those games are slept on because I think people at that time in particular were just more into the medieval Dark Souls style. There's something about it, and they were still in their Bloodborne. Dude, did you see all the Bloodborne news this week? Fucking A, man. It's like, now we know why and it's sort of what we thought, but even some crazier shit where it's like, well, there's got to be something. They don't have this team together. Now we find out the reason why the team wasn't, the first team of the Bloodborne guys wasn't together is because FromSoft was like, we don't want to make one right now at all. We don't want anybody else to make it. And supposedly, this is the rumor, anywhere from 2 to 8 attempts to get Bloodborne 2 made.
Wow.
But the developer is like, it's Sony's IP, but the developer said, it's my game, and I appreciate you guys not making it. And Sony just kept going to him, Blue Point wants to make it, blah, blah, blah. He just kept saying, it's really my world, and we may want to revisit it, we may not, but I don't really want anybody touching it because they
didn't want to hand it off.
It's a one-off for now, and he didn't want to hand it off. And Sony, to their credit, I guess maybe we have no real idea, but to their credit, they were like, no, and I think that's.
But this makes sense, right? Because if it was just about money, they probably would have made it. So it had to be some type of creative decision where it didn't get made.
True, but they do cost a lot to make, and you have no clue if the people talking about wanting to see a Bloodborne are the same people who say, I would for sure buy a Bloodborne. And
you said that you had me thinking,
device.
Yeah, because I was assuming it would be just the biggest hit in gaming if it comes out, but a lot of that is also just
it's just the zeitgeist,
the cultural zeitgeist.
Dude, and how many times have we been proven wrong when we think something's going to sell because dude, I've done reviews for Sony properties, right? And I always forget that especially Sony third-person adventure games have a hype meter that is way out of proportion for sales. It's just the way it is. In fact, I think Death Stranding 2 didn't do very well, if I remember right. But anyway, so what happens is I've done reviews for PlayStation games and been like, this video's, I think I'm one of the few who got a code. And and on multiple ones, I look at the views and I'm like, whoa, those are lower. And then I'm like, well, maybe it's just my video. Then go look at others, dramatically lower. And then you got to remember, you're like, oh, right. It's not PC at the same time. It'll be PC in a year or so back then. And it is not the entire demographic of players. And we have a tendency to forget like that it is measurably smaller. It doesn't mean they won't outsell a lot of games that are 3-person or whatever, three companies, who are going to have it on their device. But still, I've noticed it for sure. The only one that I've seen explode was because the game had exploded. Days Gone. Days Gone's like 2 million views. And the reason why is that was a fucking tragedy on day one. It was horrendous on day one. That is the only reason I got that many views, because it was just like, what the shit is going on with this game? Especially because I think it was the first sign that Sony was making adjustments to how much time and money went into every game. And maybe there's some ways to save some cash, because there's no way Sony would have released that prior. Microsoft did it with Master Chief. You can tell there's like this linchpin game where you're like, this is sort of the new blank. It's possible now for a shit game to come in the future, because of this one, because of how did everybody get together and decide this still needs to be released? Because Days Gone should not have been released in the way it was, just like Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk, I think, got a lot of people to realize that like every company can do a stinker. That's why I brought up GTA starting, because it's possible.
So something like Death Stranding 2 didn't do very well in terms of like views.
In terms, Death Stranding didn't do very well in terms of views. No, Death Stranding didn't sell as well as Death Stranding 1 either, for whatever reason. So,
damn.
The thing is like when you go and look at all these factors, there's nothing that indicates Bloodborne would be a masterclass sale, like that it would magically do 10 times what something else does, or do what would be the equivalent of current day cost, which could be 500 million or 400 million. Because once you, so by the way, so let's talk about something interesting. Not only because games cost more, but we'll talk about that right now. So games cost more. People, dude, it is very difficult to really remember that once you get into these expensive games, the return, the number of sales, the diminishing return on your total sales is dramatically noticed. So you might get a game that sells 1 million tangentially, 2 million, maybe 3, 4. If you need to sell 5, 6 million copies of something, that cannot be a game that is very closed off. You have to start, because that is a massive percentage of a console base, especially a single console base. So if you've got 30 million consoles and you want to sell almost to 10 million, now you're like, whoa, that percentage is through the roof of how many people we need to sell this. We need to figure out a way to sell this to a massive demographic, and it can't be one, because every console developer can usually tell their age groups, and the demographics may not even match up. You know, where you're like, this game's demographic is this. That's only let's say a 20th of our console base. Then you got to figure that out. That's why, like, sometimes you'll see an Astrobot might do better, and it might even be a worse game, and you're like, well, why? And you're like, oh, because the demographic to the console fits in. That fits too. Demographics. No, and we're not talking about genres. We're talking about demographic of age, where an 18-year-old would know about it and a 30 or 40-year-old would know about it. And you've got to hit them both. Also, I think right now, if you look at the age, Johnny, I don't know about you, but when you look at the age of console owners, it's getting older. Those guys are also the first ones to feel that their skills are getting worse. Now, I don't believe that, because I can still play Neo without any issues. So I don't think we've got there yet with me, but it is possible. And you hear it. Sleeve would talk about this. Sleeve would be like, oh, my skills aren't where they used to be. And I think a lot of that's psychological. I think you're told that. And so you assume,
I think so,
that, everything's about sub-millisecond twitch because somebody's trying to sell you a fucking monitor that's got 240, and they'll try to make you believe everybody can see that, which scientifically is proven that they cannot. So I think you're selling to a massive, you would have to really ace a huge number of PlayStation owners to make the money back if you delayed that game even once, because of the cost of development.
Because it's a massive team, right? For something like that. It's not
if you
just
want it out faster, it's a more massive team. So, like, let's say they want it out for the PlayStation 5 and they started yesterday. The amount of people you would have to put on that team and have it all go right without a delay would cost you, it would be double the size of the team. And I don't know if you've ever done team dynamics study, but it's like doubling the size of the team is sort of like putting two video cards in a PC. It's never double the power, ever. There's a loss.
Yeah.
There's a curve of loss that is quite dramatic, to where
it doesn't scale with the size.
From 2 to 400, you don't massively. Now, we got it all done because people are waiting on each other and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, dude, it's crazy. Pragmata actually moved up a week. True. I saw that, Eternal. That's cool.
Oh, really? That's cool.
I think they did because if I remember right, there were some games come. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just curious if you're interested in that game, if you think it's going to be something cool.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
That hair was glitchy as hell, though, I will say. I don't know if other people noticed the hair was just going everywhere and kind of reacting with everything and blowing up.
I think the other
But
thing,
it looked cool, though.
The other thing, Johnny, is like, this is why I think it's important that if somebody gets mad about a reviewer and they go play a game and they like the first hour and the reviewer disliked the game, you really need to verify if the shit that you like turns to crap later on. That hacking stuff might be fun in an hour demo. If you're 10 hours in and you have now done it 77 times, that thing that was cool may be absolutely the worst part of the game. The same thing can happen where people front load games because they know people don't finish them. So you got a 20-hour game, you front load the first 6 to 8 hours. You're going to have people saying this is one of the greatest games of all time because they won't have got to the shit. Valhalla was that way. I like Valhalla now, but it was buggy, so that was one. Number 2, it's big. Bloated is a weird word, but I'll go with it for that one. I think we can all agree. But when you add it all together, what happened was what was fun at the starting after 30 or 40 hours becomes cloying. It holds you down. And you don't want a game where you see something and you go, I don't know if I want to do that right now. That happened in Valhalla, where I would see something and go, Days Gone, it happened actually. Even in the PC release, which I think is actually quite an enjoyable game. But there were times where I was like, oh, yeah, here we go. It's the same, I'm going to have to do these particular things. A dungeon in Neo. Dude, admit it. You see a Crucible on that map and you think to yourself, come on.
I agree. I'm not looking forward to it necessarily.
It was a great idea that turned into like I got to do that also kind of thing. I think the rewards didn't pan out as well as I'd hoped either. I like my normal stuff. I didn't need... The Crucible weapons is a great idea, and some were fun, but after 20 or 30 hours in the game, you're like, I don't know if I want to do all that to find out that I've got the same weapon with the same skill from doing this. I guess if that makes sense. Yeah.
And I'm at the point now where I have like a preferred style, which is the ninja. And it's becoming a bit samey because I've unlocked all combos, right? Obviously, like this far into the game. But I still have half of the game left. And I'm legitimately wondering what's really going to change between now and the end of the game, because I have these really dialed in
moves,
like moves that I like to do, right? And I got like some nice muscle memory and I'm making some progress. It's fun. It's nice. But it is a little bit of like, oh, it's another, like you said, another door with a boss behind it.
Yeah.
And it's going to play fairly similarly to the others. I don't know. I'm getting a little bit to that point.
So let me tell you why I agree with you and what I do to stop that, because I totally agree with you. I also get the sad occasional time where I find a weapon that I become so enamored with that it's very hard to upgrade unless I get a weapon that is the same thing with the same skills. So I do two things. One, never ever buy a premium version of a game in my life, because they will almost always have a weapon that is overpowered, which will make me not experiment with the other weapons. When I review a game, I won't put the special code in. So sometimes they'll be like, we're giving out collector's editions. Can we send it to your house? No. Don't. I just actually got offered one yesterday. I was like, no, I do not want you to send that to my house. I do not want it at all, because it would be very difficult for me to not want to test it. And if I do, and it's a great weapon or great armor, it is very difficult to downgrade on purpose just to arbitrarily downgrade. And a lot of these premium games will sell you, be like, you can get this special armor. If it's cosmetic only, fine. But a lot of times they'll pretend it's cosmetic. You get it and you find out it's like a higher, like mastery level or whatever. And you can maybe add more abilities to it. Let's say it's a game like that. Well, that is still in and of itself something that breaks the upgrade chain. It breaks that feeling of discovery and feeling like you're moving forward through it. So no, I get exactly... It's 100% what I get into. It's also why I try to test the weapons I think will suck first in a game, like Neo. I'll try to test a game that I'm like, okay, it's an axe. I'll test that first, because I just generally don't love axes in games. Sometimes I do, but most of the time I don't. And then I'll jump to the ones that I'm like, I'm probably going to choose, a chain and sickle, or I'm going to choose
And I get
sword.
that I could switch weapon,
but
right?
You
and
don't
be
want
like,
to.
just experiment. That's the thing. I got right now, right? I'm playing Ninja, a lot of Ninja. I'm using the dual swords. It's a lot of fun. It's a great move set. You're fast. Your attacks are powerful. You got some great moves, some like helicopter moves. I don't really want to switch that, and yet I've seen all the moves. So I'm still kind of, I'm conflicted about what I'm going to do there.
I got lucky in Neo, man. I found that many times it was not being better with my class. It was switching. and trying it with the other class, either first or second. So if I went in with the ninja, got wiped, switch to the samurai, go in, see if I don't get wiped, and then vice versa. So I ended up playing a lot as a ninja, but then ended up playing a shit ton as the samurai because my skills were advanced for dexterity in my brain. I was actually dodging really quickly and really attuned. So then when I became the samurai, even though he's slower, it was much easier to parry or block because he's just so big.
Okay.
And when I switched over, I was like, oh, okay, I'm destroying these guys. And that's because his animations and stuff are so slow that sometimes you get hit before you can learn that speed or blah, blah, blah. But if you're doing the ninja first and you switch
do
over,
more damage.
You do a wicked amount
just
of
talking
damage.
About single attacks, you know, compared to ninja.
Also, I became such a low stance expert with that samurai because he's fast with low stance. Not faster than the ninja, but if you get a samurai I always tried to make sure I was in the green for encumbrance. That was like the most important.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be a samurai, you can still get insanely good armor and be green. So I did that. And then once I got the low stance, dude, he's fast. I mean, not obviously as fast as the ninja, but fast enough that the enemies, I think you're right at the midpoint for the enemies where you're like, I'm just fast enough to hit him and do a shit ton of damage as this guy, or I can be the ninja and for sure hit him a bunch. But if I do get hit, my armor is probably a third of what my hit might even be less. I did keep them somewhat
much more
close.
About dodging. Yeah. Everything.
Yeah. It was fun
that's a good point. Maybe I'll switch more to samurai.
Dude, the samurai with the odachi is awesome. Like one of the abilities you have is to block somebody and throw them to the ground with your sword. So you like block them and then you switch. Okay. And when you do that, they're on the ground. So it's like now you have a moment to rest, a moment to drink, a moment to hit them, a moment to back away if they've got a short upstanding attack. I also got the standing up attack with the samurai, which is basically sitting up and swinging that odachi. And holy Christ, that does a lot of damage.
I'll try the odachi then. I tried a number of weapons. For example, one that felt good was actually the axe.
Yeah, I know a lot of people like
the hammer. You know, it looks like a hammer, but
whatever that
just
was
like
about.
Simple moveset.
Yeah.
But you do a ton of damage. Like you can sit in mid stance all day and just press like light, heavy. And you do some wicked damage. There was something about the simplicity of it that I liked. And then adding one or two extra.
What I liked with the odachi also is you can take it and shove it into the ground and your defense goes up because they hit that instead of you. So like you can block for longer. There's just, I mean, and obviously every weapon, I mean, I'm sure somebody's beat it with every weapon by now 10 times. So like everything generally works, but I love that in those games. Yeah.
Everything is pretty viable.
It feels so good. Yeah. It's going to be cool to see what they do next too, because this is like it sounds like this is like their new stance is open field or open area. It'll be interesting to see what their next game is because they also have been introducing guns a lot. It feels like they like the idea of guns, and you're like, could we see a futuristic game? Could we see? I don't think you could. That's going too far. That's just crazy talk. But it'll be interesting to see.
It could
what
be
they
possible.
Do. I mean, I would kill to see it. But let's see. Dex is probably best for ninja. I'm talking philosophically, strength or dexterity. Philosophically, strength. Strength is utilitarian.
Strength.
Dexterity is reactionary. So unless you make your job as a magician, I would say strength is, because strength is a utility you could sell quite easily to almost anybody. You could fucking go out there and work at it. I mean, shit, you could just become a cowhand, farmhand. Sci-fi Neo, let's go. Yeah, I agree. I'm a huge fan of the Cessus.
That would be cool.
What else we got before we wrap it up, man?
Castus.
Did we miss any news that popped while we were yakking? Let me check.
We did have a couple of questions in the Discord. I don't know if we got to them.
We got to a couple, but who?
Selim, did you cover that one?
Let me look here.
He was asking if there are any other any Any games that have been locked
We didn't
away
get
due to
Hunters
IP?
either. Yeah. Okay. So go ahead. Read the one
Okay,
from Selim and then
could do
Hunter.
those.
Yeah.
So Selim says, are there any games that have been locked away due to IP licensing issues that you would like to see continued or even remastered? Would love to see No One Lives Forever come back.
I think this is like my third
licensing
monster.
is tough.
I'm not going to sleep tonight.
Holy moly, dude.
No One Lives Forever is mine as well. It's probably one of the biggest like IP locks. And I think the last time Night Dive came in, Steve came in, and when he was talking to us during the podcast, I think he said they were making some headway because he wanted it. But at one time, 16 people owned parts of the IP. So
forget about it.
And then there was parts he thought were like in file drawers somewhere. You know, where so you have to make sure nobody owns it so you don't get surprised. Nobody can sue you so that you don't get surprised, that kind of stuff. But yeah, No One Lives Forever is mine for sure. What about yours? And
what flavor monster is that, by the way? I'm just curious.
I think this is peach. Peachy Keen. It's called Peachy Keen. And I don't like
that looks
peach
good.
anything, but I do like these. I think I just like the citrus sour aftertaste. That I like sour. It's sweet, but it's got a bit of sour to it, which I always like. Maybe I shouldn't have drank 3 because I'm gonna be pissing probably.
3 is crazy, bro. Yeah.
I'll sleep like a baby. But what about an IP that you think nobody'd make a game? Remember back in the day when you'd be like, nobody make a Mickey Mouse game, and now you've got like that's open IP or whatever. Is there a cartoon character or a movie character or anything that you like even if it's an anime that you've never seen a game but you love the anime?
There is actually. I would love to see a Thundercats game.
Fuck yeah. Yes.
They had some sick aesthetics and like
Mumra,
the vehicles.
The ever-living. God damn.
Yes.
Yes, I would be all
good
over
bad
that.
guy as well.
Dude, Mumra. When you're a kid and Mumra shows up and he's screaming with his
Hell
red
yeah.
eyes and his fucking mummy like tatters going everywhere, I was
Great.
shitting myself. So good.
Yeah,
And Transformers
scary.
has been done. G.I. Joe's been done. So Mask and Thundercats would be two of the ones.
I played a Mask game when I was a kid, by the way. I'm trying to remember if it was
Genesis or
a SNES.
SNES. Yeah,
or
probably.
something. Yeah. But I have memories of that.
Mask, mighty fighters who can save the day. Mask. You can tell I lived through those because I know the song for DuckTales, Mask, Transformers, Jason the Wheeled Warriors.
Dude, I watched that movie so many times, by the way.
Which
Maybe
one?
like 5-6 times. The Mask. Are we talking about the same?
Wait. Mask is a cartoon about cars that transform.
Oh,
Different Mask.
okay.
You're
Totally
talking- are
different.
you
I
talking
was thinking about
the Eric Stoltz mask where he's got the deformity?
no, like
Or are
Jim
you talking about
Carrey.
Jim Carrey mask?
the mask.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
There are 3 that I know of. Yeah. Jim Carrey's was
Okay,
great.
yeah.
Jim Carrey's was great.
Yeah.
But I think Thundercats would be fucking Mumra. He-Man,
great, dude.
A real He-Man game where you've got like all many faces and all these lockjaw, all these characters.
Yes.
Dude,
That's
those
great.
80s
And,
cartoons is coming back too. So sorry, go ahead. I got excited.
I think so. They also remade Thundercats not too long ago. They did like a animation remake of it.
See, I like the old animation and its old look.
Yeah.
But
Wasn't as good,
Transformers,
to be honest.
old gen with the real Optimus, I would kill for. That Transformers Devastation was really fun. Was a great game actually. G.I. Joe would be great. I know they've done one. I'd like to see another. Do you know who I want to see? That's impossible because it's so racist. But Brian Edward Hill did that redo of it, which is Hong Kong Phooey. It's racist beyond all belief. I mean, the music is racist, like chick chong, chick chong. I mean, it's racist. However, I loved Hong Kong Phooey. I guess it's a good sign that if you play a game, you won't suddenly beat up prostitutes like GTA or become a racist because like none of those had any impact on me. But dude, yeah, man.
Yeah. Zero impulse of beating up a prostitute.
Yeah. It's so weird. Yeah, it's so weird. But yeah, those would all be. Jason the Wheeled Warriors was fucking fantastic as well. Galaxy Rangers, which was space cowboys. fucking, I always post that in the Discord. God damn, I love those games. Love those. They all had that. I think it's Hanna-Barbera. They all had that certain animation style that was like detailed and cool, but at the same time, a little jank. You know, Transformers would be, you know, you could see the I mean, dude, let's be honest. This is the world's worst transformation. It's like 6 Lego blocks that flip around. But it still looked better than Transformers movie, which looked like nanobots, and it was just all messy. Just the idea of seeing those I love those guys.
Too messy.
Basically, they lay down, fold their legs under them, and they're a fucking semi, you know? Voltron would be okay. Yeah, Voltron's a little boring, though. It's like 5 guys who just become a foot. Like, Voltron, you know how somebody will put you in, you know, left field if you're a shitty player? Like, the idea of Voltron is like, if you're the shitty Voltron guy, you're the left or right foot, right? You're just the foot. You're just carrying everybody, just walking around. You don't get to, like, you know, I mean, let's be honest. The best pieces would be penis, which I don't think exists, chest piece, and head. You don't want to be a foot. You don't want to be Voltron's best left foot. Put that on a resume. Like, hey, man, you're a hero. What do you do? You're like, well, I was Voltron's left foot. And they're like, no, you know, we're talking about heroes. Like, did you do anything? You're like, yeah, man, I kicked a guy in the balls once. Anyone remember the smell Moss Man had? I don't know what that means.
No idea.
So no, I guess not. Voltron disrespect? Yeah, a lot. To me, Voltron was like the shit Power Ranger, man. You just didn't care. Sorry. I'm just saying it.
Yeah.
Voltron, he didn't really, it's like GoBots. GoBots sat up to transform. It's the laziest transformation ever. They sat up. Like, Jesus Christ. Come on, put some fucking effort into it. Their animation was, no lie, man, some of the best vehicles in there. And like I told you, Leader 1 is the name of the main guy who's the leader. It's just fucking lazy. And I remember watching the Porsche. It was like the one of the European racing car Porsches. He was a bad guy, and he just basically and then be all stand up, and he's now a robot. And you're like, fuck, dude, god damn, you're lazy. There's some knockoffs there. There's some Kroger Transformers is what they were. Walmart Transformers. Somebody searched somebody. Oh, you like Voltron? Is that what it is? Sorry, man. I'm just saying Voltron shit. Dude, unless you want to be I'm just saying, if you want to be the left foot on Voltron, fine, whatever. You can be that. It's a piece of shit job, though. That would be terrible. Dude, and Voltron also transformed into lions, which is pretty, I don't know, sort of bullshit. Do you know what I'd love to see? A real Robotech cartoon. Macross to you, probably, as an anime fan. But I would kill the world to see a real Robotech. Get Min-May and get Rick Hunter and get Roy Fokker and get all those guys in there, because it's one of the few animes I think is worth any kind of thing other than dog shit. I just don't like anime. That one, I mean, admittedly, you guys have shown me ones that are good. I'm saying ones I bought. That one is awesome. Robotech / Macross. They're Veritex with the 3 forms, sorry. Mike, $20 super chat. Come on, Carrick, my childhood. Yeah, dude, your childhood was probably awesome. It just sucked when you were watching Voltron. What the fuck, man?
Dude, I swear I remember those transformations like they're amazing. But if I were to see them now, it was probably like he's a monkey and then like he stands up.
And then some of these dudes transform into the world's worst shit, like a fucking fern. And you're like, how's that worth anything? You turned into a fucking fern. Admittedly, the Ghetto Blaster guy, who, by the way, bit racist. There's a Ghetto Blaster on both sides. One was, you know, what you think, which was weird. You know, and even talked that way. There's a guy named Jazz who also was a little weird. But on the left, you had Shockwave, who was like, Operation Destroy. He had that modulated voice, and he shot shit out of his chest, which sounds like the reverse of a facial. But he would shoot cassettes out of his chest, and they would turn into things. So he had a transformer and a transformer. It was amazing, man. Like, it was so good. Garbage Pail Kids. I'd play the shit out of Garbage Pail. Yeah, Garbage Pail Kids would be fantastic. But yeah, the idea of a true Transformers game, man. Let's get some nuts, guys. I mean, go there. Garbage Pail Kids would be hilarious. Do you know what Garbage Pail Kids is?
No, I have no idea. I'm looking it up.
I know you don't have a lot of time, but real quick, you know how Yu-Gi-Oh's got your cards? there was Cabbage Patch Kids originally, which were these cute kids, and they always had like a Strawberry Farm kind of look to their faces, and a little bit like almost like a fat stuffed toy of some kind. But then they decided to do gross ones, and they're called Garbage Pail Kids, and it exploded. It would be like, you know, Sister Snot Susan or whatever, and it'd just be globs of snot coming down. It was the weirdest twist I've ever seen, and it became, dude, it was all over the place. It was so popular back in the day. It was awesome. Yeah, Platinum Games did make one of the better ones. Imagine being the cassette getting shot out of jazz. That's the real shit job. Yeah, true. But Transformers has like, I mean, and don't get that piece of shit who came after Megatron, Galvatron. Like, dude, seriously, we all know what it is. You're just a piece of shit. Megatron was awesome. He was such a fun bad guy, and he was so bad and so egotistical and just kept trying the same thing 100 times. And then they introduced the Dinobots, which was the death of anything cool. It was fucking, dude. Oh, God. Oh, my God. I understand why people like them, because they like dinosaurs, but you might as well have just released ninja bots at that point. You know, dinosaurs, ninjas, pirates, pirate bot. It was so cliched by that point, but admittedly, Grimlock was pretty cool. Feels good to leave live service slop games behind. That was random. Rosie and Jim Game, you're welcome to the Nightmares. Beast Wars. I had a friend as a kid who owned this massive Transformer that was several of them merged into one. Was it the one that had the train track and turned into a rocket? And the rocket then, when you turned him into the robot, you put the rocket on his hand and he shot it like a laser. Because that is one of the original guys from Cybertron who shows up later in the original, if that's who it was. And I had him as well. Can't remember what his name was. Unicron is the robot that kills everybody. Bigatron. We'll just call him Bigatron. That sounds close to bigot. Yeah. He was bigot. No. It was fun to see Starscream get his butt whipped all the time. What else do we got? Is that it?
This last question from Hunter. He says, considering Metal Gear Solid 4 is finally escaping the PS3, are there any other games of that generation, PS3, Xbox 360, or Wii, you would want ported to current gen?
Yeah, Wii, for sure. The Star Wars Rogue Squadron game. I would kill.
Yeah.
I was just talking to Dev about it yesterday. Actually, he was doing some stuff on the Wii, and I was saying, man, if there was the ability to emulate that or to make a remaster of the Star Wars games from the that was GameCube. So sorry, I said Wii. Can we add GameCube in there, or is he mean, or did he lock it down? Okay, so if we add GameCube in there, then yeah, Star Wars. Yeah, without a doubt. There hasn't been, other than Squadrons, there really hasn't been a good Star Wars game. What about you?
What was that game that had the weird aspect ratio? It was like 18.
Yeah, The Order 1886.
Order something?
Yeah,
Wasn't
The Order
that a PS3 game?
No, that was a PS4 game.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Yep, one of the games I started, I had only been running the channel for a little while when I reviewed that. Yeah, The Order 1886. Yeah. Dude, I sort of like that game. A little short. Not as short as some of the games we're talking about now, but a little short. I liked it. I thought the worldview was pretty cool. That it still looks good, which is crazy. It's like 900 years old and it still looks amazing. But we can grandfather that in. I mean, it was right at the starting.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if there's... I would kill for a remake of some like older Splinter Cell ones. Mm-hmm. Like Chaos Theory, Pandora Tomorrow. Some great campaigns, which I really loved.
Dude, it's so nice to see some... It came out 11 years ago. Yeah, okay. It's so nice to see like remakes that are done where they really try to do it well. You know, but at the same time bring in conveniences from today, but also try to get that spirit sort of generally in the proper feel. I think Splinter Cell's style of stealth and stuff fit really well right now. Not much has changed. I think they could do a Splinter Cell remake pretty easily. Yeah, Splinter Cell's pretty high up on the list. I almost don't want to see a sequel. A remake where
Why
you
not?
just, I don't know. Because I feel like so much happened to him at some point. You're no longer like, daughter and all this shit happened. It became a lot about it stopped being. It's not that it stopped. The focus went away from Sam doing jobs and bad guys to Sam doing jobs and bad guys and also personal stuff. And after a while, it becomes a little like now we have two meta plots to follow. Like, look at Hitman. Hitman did it a tiny bit. It's like, oh, there might be some weird shit happening, where you worked or where you're from or whatever. But they kept it really to him and Diana. I can't remember how they pronounced that chick's name, but it sort of stuck there. Where with Splinter Cell, it started getting really personal after a while. And then they started jumping the shark with shit, like him going to prison. I didn't mind it, but it started getting a little out there. You're like,
Yeah, there's quite a lot of baggage at this point with him.
There you go. Yeah,
I wouldn't mind a fresh character. I know that's controversial. I like the character, but
yeah,
I wouldn't mind just a fresh.
Yeah, and don't call him Sam Fisher then, actually. So if you want to remake it, maybe not remake it, but if you want to do one, maybe just it's a revitalization of this series with a new echelon and a new person running it. Sam Fisher could be there on the side, super old, fucking taking a
mentor
taking
or whatever.
a semaglutide to make sure he doesn't, let the diabetes get him because he's old. And he's like talking him through. Maybe he's the one in charge now, That would be sort of cool too. Maybe he's the one.
Or maybe he's the bad guy. He's gone bad.
Oh, dude, I don't want. Do you know what Splinter Cell fans would do? No way. That guy's had family members get mulched and shit. If you were like, dude, that's like Master Chief maybe being bad in Halo, whatever the fuck it was, like where they were treating him poorly. You're like, come on, dude, come on. Yeah, so you could definitely replace him and put somebody. It would be nice. I don't know if he's too old. He's pretty roughed up, but I would love to see, because he could just be the person running the thing. And you could have that little thing where he's like, back in my day, we used to do it this way. Interesting choice.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
You're like, bitch, I'm out here.
Come in a few scenes to like play chess with you and teach you about some.
Yeah, get your brittle bone body out here and you try to do this. I'm trying to defend myself. Also, there's a lot of tech that's adjusted, right? Remember back in the day in those games, you would be investigating like the big missiles and trying to stop those. Now you have drones. So it's like, how would that impact?
Oh, yeah.
Would he have them himself? Would he be able to call him in? Would people be using them against him? How would he defend himself? You got a lot of really cool current modern military changes that are occurring. I mean, how would he hide from a robot drone dog that can see in infrared? So now you have to have a tech that he can use. So that could be cool. You could do But it would be really unfun if Sam never fought a human, because humans aren't stupid. If they have drones for it, they'll use drones. So you just go into a place, you're trying to like attack a group, and there's like one guy in the center surrounded by 600 of these fucking.
Well, you could do it the other way, where it's like a prequel. So maybe not the same person, but it could be like the beginning of the organization, and you're this kind of noir style.
Yep, you could do that.
Assassin.
You could do that. Maybe in like the 70s. Maybe
bring it back to like
Vietnam.
Basics.
Less the Korean War, but Vietnam. Yeah, you could do something like that. Yeah, that would be interesting. Or Cold War Russia. Like true spies, what we think of as spies is like
good setting. Double crossing.
Yeah, that would be pretty fucking interesting, man. I hadn't thought about that. I think Hitman's got not a couple. It's actually got a lot of Russian missions in the earlier ones. So, yeah. Sam, you got to extract the president from an oil rich company so we can take over. Yeah, exactly. It'd be Delta Force flying in on a helicopter and magically getting the president out. Do I have anything else? Dude, do you know what I bought? I bought a tool. This fucking green screen is amazing. Look at this thing. It is a cardboard box cutter. So I bought this because we get shipments, and after a while you've got a ton of boxes laying around. Then you have like pop boxes that you get your 24 pack. So my wife sort of enjoys cutting them down to put them in recycling, and I bought her this, and I've been cutting the shit out of everything. We have sheets that are now in pieces because I am like a child. I have worn this battery down to 0 twice, and it's like a 6-hour battery. I have cut. So I have a mouse pad, and I was like, yeah, this mouse pad slightly doesn't fit. So I spent like an hour cutting a mouse pad to perfectly fit. And then once that happened, I was like, oh, fuck. So then I decided to cut. I didn't like where my drapes drop. So I cut the drapes.
Oh, God.
The bottom of the drapes. My wife was like, what are you doing? I'm like, so you can just
I was going to say the wife did not approve that for sure.
But dude, this thing, it was like $26 and it has been more magical than most video games.
Dude, that's cool because I'm always dreading when I have to like take out the boxes and stuff. You have to like
and no knives,
unwind them or whatever.
You'll destroy a knife. Like if my wife was destroying our cutlery, she would get like serrated steak knives because you're tired or whatever, and she cut them and you have to sharpen them, and they're old shitty knives, so they're sharpened.
Or like the cutter gets stuck or whatever in the box,
And this thing, you can get ones that are open ended. I was feeling a little like it might be dangerous, so we got one that's it can cut stuff about that thick, but it's just a super 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 sharp spinning dial that is enclosed in there, and it's hexagonal. And there's something about the science of why that works. It lets it spin faster.
It just grips onto it.
It's something about the way it can spin. It doesn't get caught as much, almost like a chainsaw blade, And dude, I've cut the shit out of it. I mean, dude, everything in my house has a fucking cut mark on it because I'm like, what can I cut this to a shape?
I gotta look into that. I didn't even know that was a thing, actually.
I didn't either until. What have we talked about? Something becomes hyper interesting and the most fascinating thing in the world for the 20 minutes you're looking for it. That's what happened. I saw it and I suddenly was like, this is the most fascinating thing that has ever existed. And I spent an hour after that, like dialing down which one I want.
Must have it.
Yeah, it's awesome. Anyway, that was my find of the day. That was it. You got anything cool that happened this week before we wrap it up?
No, nothing too exciting. There was that song I finished. I was really happy with. I think mostly this weekend, just gonna play some games. Probably gonna either continue with Neo 3 or move on to Resident Evil. Not sure yet, but that's probably what I'm gonna do. Play some League. I'm currently doing like a 2-week challenge where I play every day 3 ranked games to just try to build like some consistency and stuff. So it's been a lot of fun, and that's about it, I think, for me.
All right. Well, that'll be it for us. Yeah, we had a bunch of stuff. We talked about Microsoft Helix at the starting. That'll be it for us. I hope you guys all have an absolutely awesome week in whatever you're doing. Hopefully it's fun stuff. That's the Patreon right there. If you want to join, come in and talk to us, continue the discussion. Peace out, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your week.
See ya.